I should have hit record and then said grabbed a dude and did a thing, because that would have been a really good way to start. Oh, this campaign. Whew! But Kingmaker time, here we go. I just had what ended up looking like not a lot of calories, but was a lot of calories breakfast, so I'm like real food high right now. So thank you all for giving me the money to buy like $2 worth of food that was very, very filling. And also the rest of your support and stuff. It's super dope. Last time we begin the slow and steady, inexorable progress of putting everything back together, picking up the pieces or otherwise doing king stuff. We have officially elected, I know, right? Officially elected our new general, Magaris Varn, who has begun the process of training the commoners in the art of war and handpicking his own cadre to possibly scout for Hell Knighthood or to be maybe just better fighters and not just here. You, spear, shield, go, 3, 2, 1. We continue to brace for the eventual coming of the plot. But until then, we're not worried about that. We're just worried about y'all. Would anybody like to go first for their in-character reflection viewpoint? All right, dope.
I don't have anything prepared. Yeah, well, because the reality is I have 2 things to cover text RP wise, and that's finishing my mask, specifically just for mechanical transparency, sniper goggles being kind of added, and then completing the rifle. And I think timeline wise we're saying those things happened, but I sort of realized that the breadth of stuff I would have to cover to kind of document those things would not be fitting for a reflection. It's probably something that I'm just gonna have to write and post.
It's okay, dude. I was just messing with you.
Well, I had to be clear. Okay. So, and also because sometimes when I do text RP, it's all private, and then people don't know it. So this way, people are caught up at least on what has happened. So yeah, I'm playing Arcturus. He's a human inquisitor of Abadar. And obviously last time he was doing a lot of reading and preparation for the things that I just talked about. And basically in his absence, things went pretty well for him. He was prepared to put Magaris' name forward, and he just got the job without him even needing to be in his corner. So that's cool. Yeah, other than that, I mean, he had a little bit of discussion with Samantha, but it was a pretty quiet session for the Inquisitors, so I don't have too much to reflect on other than all of that. So that's it.
You got through a bunch of books last session, basically.
Yeah, just pretty much.
Frantically flipping through books as fast as possible.
It's like a little bit of that, and then a little bit of because when you dip the level in Gunslinger, you just get the gunsmithing feat, so I'm going to kind of flavor that as sort of like a divine matrixing of knowledge to a certain extent, an intuition about how these things work, and then kind of couple that with the knowledge from the books, just for a little insight into how I'm explaining all of this nonsense.
Makes sense. Keanu Reeves appears and he teaches you how guns works. This is now Cyberpunk 2077. Oh, that's around the
You fell asleep with the book of gunsmithing under your pillow, and when you woke up, you had absorbed all the knowledge into your brain.
Something like
that. If only.
It's like the Tooth Fairy, but with black powder. But good. Hero points all around. Hey, Tooth Fairies are fey. There could be Tooth Fairies in Concordia. Oh shit! The best plan ever. Who's going next for hero point while I don't look up what Tooth Fairies do at all?
Are they like Guillermo del Toro Tooth Fairies?
Maybe? I'm not sure I understand.
I think that was Senya volunteering.
I guess so. I am Senya the Black Stag. I'm a Geminid Invoker Barbarian. And I have a magical horse that has antlers.
These are all true.
I thought, I thought that was saying something to be you, but anyway. He's not. Um, let's see. Last session, I kind of acted a bit as a counselor to our old friend, Suitscale. Bonded with him over our shared tragedies, and took him back to Fort, or rather, the town of Rooston, so that he's not all by himself and he has people that love him around him. And yeah, I think that covered it all.
Yeah, that was all the things that happened to you last time, but oh man, my brain is completely divided by zero. Holy shit. Good enough. Take the hero point, we'll say. I don't know why my brain is not firing on right now. I will swing then to either Cato or Ionia for the next one.
I'm happy with either slot. I don't have anything prepared this time.
Oh, then I'll go last because I do have something. I'm the only one with something prepared today.
Ah, you did it. Only you. All right, on to Ionia then.
All right. That said, I have something prepared.
Fuck.
No, I started to write something and I wasn't happy with it, so I scrapped it. So I am playing Ionia Essel, a battle host occultist, Aijutsu master. I don't think we've actually seen any of that yet, but there it is.
Boom!
Yeah. Let's see. I'm still pretty upset about the, Tommy, you had said we had elected a new general, but that's not quite what happened. So Ionia is a bit salty about the new general. However, has formed a bit of a closer relationship with the fairy dragon army, which will be her little spies, hopefully. Aside from that, with some of this downtime we kind of skipped over, she's crafted a new item that is going to allow her to see again. So, yeah, that's about what I've got.
Fair enough. NBD. Just got eyes back. It's all good. All right, then. And last but not least, the man who had something prepped.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if I was going to share mine either, but I decided at the last minute that I kept going back and forth. But I want to preface by saying I love how we keep using the term, we elected X person, or like during the session, it's like, oh, don't worry, I'll cast my vote for you. It's like, Cato's like, people, what election? What votes? I'm the king, I appoint the counselors, and y'all get input, but at the end of the day, there ain't no elections here. This ain't no democracy. So anyway.
He is the Senate.
I am the Senate. With that said, yes, Cato appointed Megaris, and actually that kind of goes into all right reflection. So first of all, I'm a level 12 swashbuckler, monk, fighter, Eldori swordlord, and here's my reflection. Cato stands upon the balcony outside his room, gazing through the courtyard and to the bustling city below. A mere month had passed, and yet the changes and reforms brought forward by his new general were already taking shape. The Tieflings' commanders marched patrols through the town square each day, both as part of their training and as a display to the citizens of the king's promise to ensure their safety and security. Most of the Fae who had sprung into existence within Rooston had been settled one way or another. Those capable of integrating were given the opportunity to do so, and although it took a bit of adjusting on everyone's part, most were able to do so, eventually. Those who possessed more instinctive natures were directed out to the Gnarl Marshes and the surrounding areas where they could be free and wild and out of the hair of the citizenry. Cato had been clear that every being here would be given a chance to either integrate or migrate, and Jubilas had done well in that regard. Good job, Juby. But Cato was also clear that any who failed to either integrate or migrate would be removed, by force if need be. Thankfully, there had only been one major incident thus far. A pack of gremlins who had been caught after breaking and entering a series of homes, causing vandalism and other general mayhem. As per the royal decree, They were to be banished from the city limits. But the gremlins resisted, and after a brief scuffle with the guards, they scattered throughout the town. Cato remembered the night that followed like it was yesterday. It was a dark night, as he gave Megaris the order to take his Hell Knights and find them, to drive them out by whatever means necessary. That was the first time he'd ever given such an order, the first time he had experienced a witch hunt in his own kingdom. It was dirty work, but it had to be done. Cato hoped he would not have to give such an order again, but he would if need be. Order had to be maintained.
Well, okay, I guess I'll say now, the next time we want to insert plot into in-character reflections, maybe run it by the GM first. I will let this one slide.
Sorry.
Furthermore, I need to know.
Okay, fair enough.
But take your hero point, squad. You figure out the next morning that Cato has ordered the death of a bunch of gremlins, and play picks up.
Surprise!
Surprise.
Okay. Well, so where are we? Are we the month after, or are we dealing with what you just described?
Both. At the top of the next month, that happens. Like, the last day of is the Great Gremlin Massacre of 47, whatever year it is. And all five of us are immediately just jammed on our back foot as hard as possible. Holy shit. You see those how to break the DM videos and memes and things.
That did it.
Cato took it one step forward. He broke everyone.
So, to be clear, you told Megaris to do what exactly?
Find them and remove them from the city by whatever means necessary.
And what exactly did they do to warrant this again?
They were... they basically... Here, I will retread. They were caught by guards after a series of breaking and enterings and vandalism, and then resisted and scattered when the guards tried to bring them into custody.
Re-execute for breaking and entering and vandalism?
No, for resisting arrest, and it wasn't execution. The Hell Knights were sent to find them and escort them out of the city gates. If they were to resist, then they're authorized to use force if necessary.
And almost universally speaking, gremlins are the not good kind of fae, the kind that not only will take the joke too far, but also will like stab small animals because they think it's fun, kind of thing. As I
was very particular about my selection of fae creature.
As I buzz through every single gremlin that has been, I believe mites in 2nd edition were like soft flavor errata to also be gremlins, but it's like lawful evil, chaotic neutral, chaotic evil, neutral evil, I think this one is. No, that one's chaotic evil. The Pagwampi is neutral evil. That's the scary one. But you know, there's nothing good about any of them. They are gross, disgusting little... What you think goblins are when you think goblins in the, like, meta fantasy sense, shall I say.
Got it.
I'm just realizing we never had, like, a between-session discussion about, that constitution.
Oh.
Oops.
Didn't, for some reason, that just slipped.
We failed, guys.
We're too busy running gremlins out and writing the plot where the GM couldn't see it.
Okay.
I wanted the shock factor.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh,
Maybe
I
just
got it, yeah. Jeez. Right. So, I suppose. I mean, who would have the strongest reaction to this? Maybe Ionia.
I mean, my big thing is, like, I made my stance clear that criminal activity would not be tolerated. I think we need to write a constitution so we have a very clear idea of what the different punishments are for different levels of crime, because I think this may have been taken a bit too far, but we're in the growing pains phase, I guess.
All right.
Right.
Well, Kate, I guess I'll start. Cato will basically the morning after, as the sun rises,
Get that plan B.
he'll. What?
Nothing.
I got it.
I didn't. Oh, haha, very funny. I guess, Tommy, if you don't mind, Cato will meet with the Hell Knight Patrol as they've finished their overnight duty in the town square.
Okay, yeah, sure. By all means,
To report on the results of their mission.
And there's, oh god, I almost want to ask for 5 minutes just so I can put this together, because this is so, I don't want to say over the line, but like, I am absolutely not ready for what you just did to me.
I'm sorry. I am.
Okay, cut the video. We'll start again.
Nah, fuck it. I know what I'm gonna do. Sure. Okay. It's been a month. There have been a couple of like Armiger recruits have happened, including a couple of like prospective. They have come from Restov a while ago to learn the how to FOP style, basically, and then they get another offer and they take it. Generally speaking, most of the Hell Knights are just like recruiting troops to be between them and the bad guys, or like folks don't quite mesh with the Hell Knight ideals. The patrol is led by probably Megaris himself, why not? Sure. Him, and I guess it could just be all the Hell Knights, all like half dozen of them. Yeah. As you head down, I guess this is before anybody knows what's going on, the first thing you notice is it wouldn't look exactly the same as it looks on planet Earth. But there would be something similar, I have to imagine. I suppose just a pole? Yeah, that kind of thing. Because they wouldn't have a true place to crucify people. But as you turn the corner, there are a amalgamation of poles in a like pentagram formation. Yeah, sure. Upon which hang probably in total like 24 various different kinds of gremlin. I don't know if Cato would have the ability to identify any of them. The biggest one of them is about the size of like Jubilost. Most of them are about half that size.
Wow, the Hell Knights don't half-ass anything.
You turn, like make your way down. Megaris turns, sees you. Welcome, my lord. It's been a busy evening.
He scans the poles and shudders a little bit, but masking his uncertainty, looks back and says, "I see you were successful."
Megaris nods. A long night, a painful night. He holds up his left arm. There's a pretty sizable cut running like just along his forearm, about, say like 7 inches down. Little bastard and his knife. I don't know where it is he found the damn thing, but indeed, the rest of them have been either killed or sent away. This, makes for an interesting, and he turns and motions the back of his hand towards, kind of looks like I might just use the flavor text that's written in for this particular gremlin. The most revolting lapdog you have ever seen in all of your life. If it had been like taught to walk upright as a human does, but still had this like really big awkward chihuahua head just on top, hangs. It clearly is alive, looks at you. Cato, I imagine, does not speak Knoll of all the languages. The language is kind of a guttural, barky noise. This is a Pagwampi. These little creatures, they're shall we say, unlucky. Those around them, and as if on cue, Magaris reaches down, picks up about the size of the palm of his hand a rock, and begins to not juggle it, but like toss it back and forth from hand to hand, and then like it's a arbitrarily easy feat of manual dexterity. 2 tosses and he fucks up and drops it. Things around them just tend to not go according to plan. It's not uncommon for members of my order to keep them around in case we need questions answered. It's very hard to lie in their presence, or do much of anything. For today, I figure a warning to the rest of our Sylvan citizens is more than in order. Though if you'd prefer, we could... And, like, Magaris turns, looks back at them, hangs for a second. Some of the Pagwampi look down at him with just fear in their eyes. He turns to you. Now, you know, be rid of them once and for all. But I think I'll... And he reaches up, goes to, like, scritch behind the Pagwampi's ear. The Pagwampi goes to bite him. It's another scenario where, like, Magaris could very easily dodge, but, like, just happens to fuck up in the dodging. Like, his elbow contacts his, like, as he goes to lean back, he cocks his elbow too far and it bounces off his other hand and causes him to, like, lose his reaction time, and he gets bit by this little thing. It should be very useful in rooting out, well, those we don't want here.
I feel like an example has been made. A few bad apples have been purged from the bunch, so to speak. I don't see any need for further action at this time. I think the message has been delivered loud and clear. I must say, you and your Hell Knights have a... What is the saying? A flair for the dramatic.
He nods. An example must be set. Pardon one offense, you encourage the commission of many, and these creatures, he, like, as he says that, he reaches up to, like, as if to backhand the Pagwampi and then misses and just contacts the pole with all of that same amount of force. The wince he makes is, like, you can almost taste his disdain as that happens. Well, let one of them run free. Next thing you know, tomorrow there will be 20 more.
Oh, did they capture this thing?
Yeah, it is crucified in the town square.
But it's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what? I completely misunderstood. I thought they were using it to... I thought it was like a... Okay, never mind.
Both are true. They are using it, but it is crucified and alive.
Oh.
I would ask you to make a knowledge nature check.
Oh. Oh. This is different. Okay. This is more trouble, more disturbing than I... God, knowledge nature. I do not have it trained. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like I would ask you to make one, but you don't have the capability to know the why of it, but he knows the why of it.
So all the gremlins that are up on those are dead.
With the exception of the little tiny baby chihuahua looking thing.
Right. So why have you strung him up like you have?
To make an example. To perhaps encourage it to be compliant. I'd rather not be bitten when I'm... He stops, thinks about it. Well, generally speaking, we put the Pagwampi in perhaps a sack. Sometimes you can even strap them to the back of your armor. As long as, well, the Prince of Darkness grants his own luck, which will tend to counteract things most of the time. He kind of like grits his teeth.
I would ask if you deem it a threat to put it out of its misery. Otherwise, I will insist that it is released.
Make a diplomacy check and roll with disadvantage.
Ooh, roll twice,
Yeah.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
5e now, boys.
Kinda.
I'm playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3.
Shoosh, no. I don't have like 15 hours. Okay, there you go. Fair enough.
I'm nothing if not consistent.
Indeed. Okay. How do I do this? One of these days I'll need to make a character sheet for Magaris, because he's got all these abilities that I don't know what are, but I know what vaguely are. So he nods, draws his bastard sword, and in one motion, now he needs to actually roll a d20, because he could fuck this up pretty bad. Rolls a d20, fumbles, stabs himself in his own kidney. He is dead. No, he just like step turns, swings the bastard sword like it's a baseball bat, and it through and throughs the gremlin. Some of it collapses to the ground in a heap. Some of it remains crucified. Just saying, would have been useful against the rest of the heathens in this part of the world. Will that be all?
Perhaps. Perhaps, but there are certain lines I'm not willing to cross, and live crucifixions are one step a little too far. However, yes, that is, you've done your duty, Magaris. Thank you. I could not have asked for a better result. You and your men have definitely earned their rest.
He nods. He doesn't nod. He probably at this point does like a very big formal bow, and then the Hell Knights all kind of excuse themselves. As like day starts to rise in the east, folks start making their way out, and like it's not very long before the townsfolk see that there is a pentagram-shaped pattern of poles on which the bodies of dead gremlins are hanging. Whether or not you want to be there at the time is up to you.
How long would the wait have been before if it was going to be within, are we talking minutes or hours? Because if hours, Cato would have left, but if...
Oh, probably on the order of like 10-15 minutes.
Okay, then he'd still be there.
And everybody sees you standing in the center of a very, very morbid scene. No one really says anything. No one, unless one of the PCs wants to show up and start asking questions. None of the like commoners in Concordia say anything. They're just kind of open mouth at it. From maybe like 1 in every 5 or 6 is some kind of fae. As they see it, it's in some cases words that don't sound very friendly in Sylvan, and then they go about their business. In some cases, nothing at all, just scowling that direction. No one really stays for long, though.
Do any of the council members show up?
None of the ones I have control of.
I mean, to be clear, is there some sort of effigy in our town center? Is that what I'm hearing?
Effigy may be the wrong word. As far as Cato can tell, there's no, like... It doesn't feel unholy. But
Okay.
indeed, y'all could, as you see fit, you could make your way over there.
Nobody showed up. I'm just gonna go home.
I can't help but feel the need to show up here.
Excellent.
Which I think is feel like this would have reached my office. I mean, okay, so I arrive shortly after that final thing, and what do I see exactly?
Make a knowledge religion check. You could probably pull something off.
Want to believe?
I want to believe. You don't have to roll with disadvantage. The Pagwampi is dead. So...
Oh, that's what that was from.
Mm-hmm. It's very good. You probably will never see one again. So I'll put what it does in private. But you said gremlin, and there's only one of them that's worth a damn, and it's the one with the unluck aura. So as Arcturus makes his way down, the scene is a very morbid one, and it's not uncommon for anyone who worships the various archdevils, not necessarily as a true site of unholy magic, like the place hasn't been desecrated or anything like that, but it's 100% shock and awe. It's very clear that presumably this is Megaris doing, or someone else who really likes Asmodeus and had a lot of time on their hands. But it doesn't really do anything in a mechanical sense.
Okay.
More so just a very big sacrifice to the archdevils that would also anybody sees this and it's horrifying.
And Cato, are you still here?
Yep.
What is the meaning of this?
Oh, Arcturus, good to see you. You're up early.
Yes, I heard a commotion in the town center.
Yes, what a sight it is, isn't it? We had an issue last night that needed to be handled. Though I did not expect such a display as of this. That Megaris, he is definitely someone I feel like I still need to spend some time to getting to know. Every time I tell him to do something, his methods surprise me.
Well, I hope we are of the same mind that this is entirely unacceptable.
It was necessary.
Was it?
Well, yes. We had these criminals running through the street, evading and resisting arrest, causing damage, causing harm. I gave them every opportunity to leave, but when they resisted, I had to enlist the help of Megaris and his Hell Knights to hunt them down throughout the city.
Were they arrested? Was there a trial?
They resisted arrest.
And so, what is this?
This is Megaris' doing. This was not part of his instructions. I merely asked him to take his men, find them, and drive them out of the city limits. If they would not go peacefully, then they were permitted to use force. This was entirely his doing. Though I must say it is effective. It is a little unnerving to look at. I'm sure it will act as a deterrent towards future.
Effective? Effective at doing what?
Deterring future behavior of this manner.
You want people to follow our laws because they're afraid they'll be gutted in the streets?
I want them to know they have to follow our laws, otherwise there are consequences to breaking the law.
People should follow our laws because they place value in civilization and they understand the role that those laws play in our mutual growth and well-being. This is...
Tell that to the Fae.
If they're incapable of understanding that, then there is a place for them here, outside of the city.
And if they refuse to leave?
Well, they certainly don't deserve this sort of glorification of slaughter.
Well, now any
This is a
others who
mockery
refuse.
of law.
Well, now any others who refuse to leave, such as they did, will know what the punishment that carries, and I think we will find moving forward that this type of resistance will not repeat itself. This is not a display for the citizens of Concordia who moved
And
here
what of
knowing
the
our
Fae
laws.
who are trying to be citizens in Concordia? I
Then
never
they have-
thought I would find myself in their camp, but this is a very concerning event.
They have nothing to fear. This is only a message to those who would not.
I feel this is a terrible way at sending that message. It will send other messages that, even if unintentioned, will nevertheless be delivered. This should be cleaned up immediately, and Megaris should be formally reprimanded for this behavior. Clearly we need a treatise or some sort of document spelling out the foundation of our legal authority and the limits of it and the way that it should manifest, because this is unacceptable on every level. There is no greater ally of the cause of law and order than me, but to use that as a rationalization for this kind of grotesque display is a perversion of the ideals that I stand for. And I know deep down there is a Cato in there that agrees with me.
I agree that this is certainly a little extreme. I just can't help but appreciate its effectiveness. However, I believe the point has been made. Those who needed to see it have seen it. I see no reason to keep it here. So yes, we'll have it removed immediately. As for Megaris, he did act on my instructions, although this wasn't explicitly in my instructions. I did say that I did give him the freedom to undertake his mission by the means he deemed necessary. Perhaps he felt this was necessary. A alignment in what is appropriate, I think, is more appropriate than say a reprimand, as he didn't explicitly disobey any instruction. I think he just needs to understand, where the lines are and where they are not to be crossed.
Well, I understand, and I will. I know we had some discussion about drafting a legal foundation. I think it's fair to say some of this will be reflected in the draft that I get to you, because I hear what you're saying, and I understand that perhaps he didn't run afoul of anything that you may have directed him to, but it should be reflected in our nation's core values that order and justice are means to an end of prosperity and not tools to be wielded by the wicked.
perhaps the Hell Knights handling police duty is not the best use of their skills. If only we had a paladin of Abadar at our disposal.
Yes. Well, we all miss Grinluke.
Dearly. We've had to make do with what we can, and right now the military is in charge of also policing the streets. So that is something we also need to address, and quickly. When the military are both, military and police force, extreme measures can often result. Well, anyway, we should have these taken down, I'm sure. During our talk, did anyone else show up, or is it just Arcturus and Cato?
Nobody on my end of consequence. Lots of people show up, and the population of Concordia has seen this, and word will spread. But no one stops and says anything to the pair of you. They just see the pair of you standing in the center of it all. The Bach and Jubilost all have other plans this morning. Frankly, I can't imagine either one of them getting up with the crack of dawn.
Definitely not Jubilost. He seems like the sleep until noon kind of guy.
And Bakken is the sleep until whenever the hell I want to get up, and don't tell me otherwise or I'll explode you kind of guy.
I don't think it would be appropriate for Ionia to be yelling at Cato in the streets, so let's just off-screen know that I yelled at you for this.
Boom.
Well, if you want, are you going to yell? We're going to take this down, so are you going to hear about it from and then yell at Cato?
I'm sure I'll hear about it from somebody.
Or mind's eye it, one or the other.
Oh, cast see invisibility. See if there's any eyeballs hanging over our head. I don't have that spell. I'm not.
I mean, are you directing me to do that?
If you would be, no, it's fine. Okay, so Cato will then, if we're done talking about it, Cato will instruct.
If we are done talking about it, I just want to establish something as I go.
Sure. Because
I said something specific there, and I said that justice and order were means to an end of prosperity. And as Arcturus leaves, he kind of reflects on those words, and he's not sure if he actually entirely believes it. He was actually quoting something that Galadon once said to him a long time ago. Privately, Arcturus probably leans in the direction of believing that they are, in fact, an end in and of themselves. But he sometimes is uncertain about that conviction. Just to give a little insight into him.
Dope. Well, then the floor still kind of remains the Reclaimers. A month of the year of time, I guess we can't say skip, time fast forward has happened. If ever you want to move on to the next thing, I have it prepared. In the meantime, it's sooner or later, everybody on the council hears about what happened. Ionia, either from just mind's eyeing around to scout, or your squadron of fairy dragons will come and report to you. Most of them pretty shaken up about the event. Senia, you probably just ride back into town, and then there it is.
Oh, I was going to say, once the meeting with Arcturus had adjourned, I was going to instruct people to bring the spikes down and dispose of the bodies and everything. It didn't need to stand. The point had been made. It didn't need to stand in the square long term.
Got it. In either case,
depending on when,
everyone in the Reclaimers is aware of what happened. Whoever you ask to do that is probably... They don't like it. They'll do it.
I threw them a few gold pieces each.
You'd almost have to.
Yeah. What Cato will do after that, he's going to return to the courtyard, and he is going to start training on some of the practice dummies that are out strewn about the courtyard in front of the castle, as he is practicing a new fighting style that he has been developing. So you guys want to take the floor, you're more than welcome, or if we want to convene at a council meeting or something, but I'll leave it up to you guys.
I think I've said my piece regarding all this. I'll probably need the week now that I remember that there is a constitution to be written.
Yes, whoops.
Yeah, I'll.
Yeah, we need like a to-do list.
3 months later, we all remember as Christmas is rolling down in 2020, and we realize we don't get a Christmas because it's 2020 and life just sucks. Oh wait, we need a constitution. Ah shit. Need to go explore that troll wilderness.
We're going to be at the end of the book. We're going to have Tiger Lord prisoners, and then we're going to be debating what to do with them. And we're like, great if we had a constitution for this.
Oh, right. Fuck. As it all dawns on all of you.
I will say one more time that, Tommy, your improv skills are legendary. Thank you for indulging my shitty act this morning.
I slept all of like 4 hours last night and was not prepared to catch that on my chest. But we did it, and I knew I was gonna do something evil with him at some point, so that's a good enough point to pentagram bomb the party. But yeah, what's everybody else up to? Is there anything else anybody wants to do? Do we immediately go screaming at Cato right now, kind of thing?
So I'm going to say we have a council meeting scheduled at about 1 p.m. So from the hours of whatever crack of dawn is till 1, Cato will be training, eating, doing whatever. So I'll leave the floor open till that time.
Sounds good. Most of the training is probably the same for like now that a month has passed and there is a formal military, which is almost entirely stationed at Ashgard. I almost said Asgard. That'd be, oh no, you gotta guard the rear of 10.
Oh no.
Oh,
it's not. That's not inaccurate.
It's not inaccurate, but like that part of the Gnarl Marches is where most of the training is taking place. Megaris expects most of the fighting to occur there against things that are better suited for fighting there than the common like human warrior is. So day in and day out, lots of drills. They are responsible for making the road as well. Megaris probably like gets a little bit of rest and then leaves. There are enough people. You wouldn't really call them lieutenants in the army. That's not quite right. More like oh, why not? We'll just lean into it. The army seems to be organized in such a way that like Megaris is in charge of everyone. His Hell Knights, of which there are like at this point probably like 9, are then in charge of a group of like each about, I don't know the exact number because I forget the population of the town, but it's split in like base 10s where like here are 10 people. They comprise one unit. The one of the 10th is the one in charge who reports up to someone else who has their like 10 people report to him, and he up and up and up the chain to eventually get back to Megaris. Some of them are here, some of them are stationed on guard duty and things, but by and large, not around at the moment.
That is eerily reminiscent of a Warhammer 40k military command structure. Like, bone-chillingly close.
Oh, fair. I'm just stealing from the Romans, which I imagine.
Yeah, they stole it from that. I assume that's where it was essentially pilfered from as well.
Makes
There's
sense.
a lot of Roman influence in that setting. Future Romans, basically, with laser guns.
That's terrifying. But yeah, I think Ionio was going to say something, and then I expositioned.
Oh, I was just gonna say, in regards to asking about like everybody kind of finding out about this. I just want to kind of keep it off screen. You all know what it's gonna be like, so you know.
Oh, you don't want to scream at me on camera?
I mean, I've done it plenty of times already.
Reasonable.
I like out of character. I don't even know where to begin with this one. So
fair.
Okay. And Senya, you doing anything between the crack of dawn and about 1 p.m. ish?
I'm probably keeping to my domain.
She's just gone back to the forest.
Never to be seen again.
I'm keeping an eye out for poachers.
And gremlins.
Yeah, apparently, you guys basically moved the problem from one area to another. Thanks a lot.
They're in
Yeah,
your
I mean-
territory now, Senya.
Arcturus obviously would be probably doing a lot of praying and contemplating on the events of the morning. They naturally place a lot of tension between his sort of I don't know genetic pull toward Cheliax, and then also then seeing kind of the reality of their style of justice was very jarring. Kind of like you have this romantized, we'll just view of somebody and what they stand for, and then you're kind of slapped across the face, and you realize there's a bit more or less to that. So he's probably sifting through his feelings, both personally and religiously, on what happened. And out of character, I'm not sure what kind of conclusions he'll reach yet.
That's fair. I'm all lost for that one too. I don't know how Abadar feels about what happened, or even how. I don't know. Whew.
Yeah.
Well, okay, fair enough. So then, everyone passes in contemplation. The council meeting is called. As everybody filters in, a little bit of time passes. At first it seems that Jubilost will be fashionably late, and then just becomes very obvious he's not showing up. Bakken is probably like the last to arrive of everybody, and he's obviously upset. He doesn't say anything and just moves to pout in the corner as he goes to set up around. Megaris also is presently out on training missions and is not present as the council is convened.
Ionia, do you know where Jubilost might be?
I probably do, actually. I haven't heard anything. I imagine he's probably feeling a bit sick this afternoon. I think a lot of us are.
Regardless of our feelings, we have each sworn our duties to this kingdom, so his absence will be noted. At any rate, on a more positive and uplifting note, I think it is time that we underwent the construction of our museum after finding the spoils of great history and discovery in the East. We would need teams to bring those artifacts safely back here, and we would need the construction of the structure to house them. Do I see any? I look to Ionia to see if there's any sort of expression on her end.
Still kind of an underlying rage. Yeah, I think that's something we should absolutely do. Maybe it will help distract our citizens from today's events.
You must always present good, the positives. It's not all doom and gloom. I know this is something that's very true to your heart, Ionia. How do you feel about heading up that that production. Do you have time with your other duties?
It'll be tight, but I can delegate a few things.
I figured you'd want to at least oversee the process. At the very least. Pick the people who you trust to undertake this assignment of recovering the artifacts and kind of be the overseer to the construction of the museum itself. Tends to be your wheelhouse.
As that conversation happens, Bakken is just like, he doesn't say anything. He is watching the active speaker, and like, he is visibly shook as this whole conversation is going on, just like leaning in, squeezing the like armrests of whatever chair he's in, fidgeting a little bit. The chief actually seems to be taking it, all things considered, not that bad. Like, water off a kobold's back, if you will. He obviously understands there's tension in the council room today as he sits down and stuff, but mostly just like sorry, I had a DM that was really funny and I shouldn't have looked at it. That's my be. Mostly just like waiting for the events of the day and things to pan out and go farther on.
Did we have any other business to discuss?
Yes, no, are you okay? That was the big one. I thought there'd be a little more excitement in the air regarding the beginning of our grand museum project. But I see everyone is all still
concerned with the public crucifixions. Why, yes. As like Bakken finally breaks.
There we go.
You want to tell me exactly what was going through your mind? Or are we all just left to speculate our fates when our doors are going to be broken down, when we will have violated some treatise or another? Bakken, like, reaches down into, well, reaches, like, into his bandolier, where truly there are lots of, like, vials of things that go clink and clank in the night, and pulls one, pops the top off some bottle of something that smells like very strong alcohol and downs it. I suppose we won't have to worry about the Fae falling out of line now, or anyone else, for that matter. He, like, just continues glaring at Cato. The chief kind of, like, raises, not an eyebrow, but like a brow ridge, I suppose. I don't understand. We have a problem with these creatures. They go into people's homes, break their things. You know, some of them can actually, and he, like, snaps his claws. That's all it takes. Cause entire buildings to come down. Doesn't seem like the worst way to have handled it. I don't think Torag would agree with it, but one less problem we have to deal with. Bakken just kind of glares at the chief and says nothing.
Bakken, friend, you've known me longer than, or almost as long as anyone else. Which is a strange thing to say, but it is actually true. You know you know how I am. You know that I don't make decisions lightly. In fact, I tend to deliberate on them far too long. If I saw a better way to handle the situation as it presented itself, I would have. No one is in danger of being home invaded by the Hell Knights. They did what they did on my direct order. Otherwise, they had instructions not to act at all.
So you directly ordered the public crucifixion?
No, I ordered the apprehension and, or, if necessary, the disposal of those who were on the run from the authorities.
And you don't think the public display was maybe just a little too much?
I admit that was not part of the instruction. As I told Arcturus, I gave him a long leash to handle the matter as he deemed fit. I didn't.
Well, maybe you should keep your dog on a shorter leash.
Bakken kind of like clinks his glass on the table in response. Says nothing.
With that said, they are not a threat to any of us. They are not a threat to any law-abiding citizen. As I said, what happened last night was an isolated incident upon my direct instructions, minus the thing that happened at the end. That won't happen again. There will be... I think it's just a matter of aligning when we say something, making sure that they understand our meaning to the fullest and not leaving it open to interpretation. I think it was just a communications breakdown, nothing more. But by no means is anyone in any danger. No one here, no one out there.
Whether or not they are, our people have endured months of fear. And we had finally put an end to that, only to introduce fear again right into the middle of their home.
I don't know. I feel like some of these creatures have been causing fear and anxiety in the citizens at large.
I'm not saying they should not have been dealt with. I'm saying the manner in which they had been dealt with was inappropriate.
Maybe.
And it's going to damage the relationship between us and our citizens. And the last time I checked, that was a bad thing.
We don't know how long the Fae are going to be here. They could be here for a long time. They could vanish tomorrow for all we know, but we need to expect that they're going to be here for at least the foreseeable future. And if that's going to happen, then some extreme measures may also need to happen in order to ensure that those who were citizens here before the Fae arrived are protected and know that they will be protected, and any who would seek to shirk our laws and damage their property, potentially harm their persons, will be dealt with swiftly. And they were. I think for a lot of the people in Concordia, this message was more of reassurance than anything. But I understand that some, especially the Fae, might take this in a way that instills some fear. But if that fear prevents incidents like last night from happening again, then maybe that's a good thing.
So we're fascists now.
Bakken once again raises the glass and drinks.
That is not. We're actually a monarchy, but let's not mince words. What happened is behind us. It cannot be changed. The best we can do is move forward. But I feel confident that what happened will lead to a more stable future for all of our people. And the sun will set and rise, and the immediate horrors of last night will fade.
Well, Jubilos will certainly have his work cut out for him, and let's hope that he's still willing to do it.
Yes, I don't envy him in his role. I will say that. But he is...
Maybe you should talk to him.
Well, I mean, if he were here, I would.
Maybe you should talk to him on a personal level.
Oh, I'll definitely need to find him. But whatever is to come, I'm sure he is more than up to the task. He has proven that time and time again. He is persistent, if nothing else. All right, so now that we've all had our round of Cato bashing, can we move on?
Just make it so easy.
I know. I put
this whole time, I just to say, like, Arcturus is probably visibly conflicted. He's like listening to everyone and their reactions and their arguments, but he is internally unsure, and probably not even, since my bluff score is what it is, probably not doing a great job of hiding his uncertainty.
Now that you've mentioned unless you want to, do you plan to say anything, Esker?
No.
Okay. As Cato notices that look on Artur's face, he is reminded of something he wanted to bring up. For the future, I do think it is maybe not the best idea to have the person in charge of running the military also be the one in charge of policing the streets. Both of those mindsets kind of carry with them different methods and different end goals. Some with Dazia lost to us, who knows when we will be able to recover her. I would like to forward the topic of finding another means, perhaps, of restoring Grinluke, as I feel we need him now more than ever.
I couldn't agree more.
For the creation of a proper town guard organization, so to speak, so that we can free this duty from the hands of the military, and they can focus on doing what they need to do, which is protecting our borders from the threats. Without is the opposite of within, right? Weird word, I never use it.
Yeah, you got it.
I really want Bakken to in character be like, yes, my lord, that is the opposite of within. I'm not sure if that was an in character or an out of character.
It was kind of both. I tend to blend. I tend to kind of fade in and out from time to time. You can take it however you want.
Fair.
Can I do a quick knowledge check to deduce some of our other options aside from the reincarnation with Grinluke?
Yeah, sure. Religion would be the big one.
Spellcraft religion. Okay.
Religion would be the big one, yeah.
I'll use the book on this. Oh, and I forgot to actually apply the book.
So 20 then.
20, yeah.
Okay, so the bringing somebody back from the dead will require a pretty powerful practitioner of divine arts, someone in tune with nature, so on and so forth. It will always require a pretty expensive material component, whether that's like oils and herbs and things to reincarnate someone, or the diamond necessary to raise dead, or so on and so forth. Oh, excuse me. Short of go back to Restov, or like anywhere where there is a bigger market, and purchasing like a scroll of raise dead and then just hoping whoever casts it doesn't really botch it and then waste all that money. There's not a lot of other ways to pull that off. And then, even then, you have to assume that Grinluke's soul is like free and willing to return.
Right. That is always, and that's the important thing, is we're not trying to be necromancer. We're not trying to be the next Vortikai. It would only be if he was able, like, willing to return. We do still have his body gently reposed, whatever.
Which is a key part of that, because
yeah.
Unless you're willing to spend a boatload of money on like magic, the kinds of which isn't even known. Like, there's probably not someone who can cast that spell in Restov or even in like northwestern Avistan. Somebody with that kind of power could make it happen, but they are nowhere near here.
Yeah. So with that said, I mean, the idea of getting so would a scroll of Raised Dead be something we could get from Restov?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So we were planning possibly to visit there. So if, as part of that, now we have 2 reasons to go to Restov.
Does anyone remember when we were looking at resurrecting Cato, what the cost was on that?
The diamond is worth 5,000, I think. Stand by.
Stand by.
Raised it. I'm like 99% sure it's 5,000 gold. Yes, 1 diamond worth 5,000 gold.
Okay, so follow-up question. I know if we take gold out of the out of the build point treasury, that creates some instability, but what if we take gold out to create someone who's not Megaris in charge of the city? Would we still get instability?
Seems more like a short-term detriment for a long-term additional effect kind of thing.
And I feel like we would have to pay it back. Like, I feel like anytime we withdraw from the kingdom,
we're just taking a loan, guys.
It's basically a loan, and I would expect, yeah, we would pay it back.
So that's an option.
Yeah. So it would be. Oh, how much would the scroll cost? So we've got 5k for the diamond, but the scroll costs more as well, right?
Yeah. When you cast a spell that has an expensive material component, the expensive material component is consumed in the creation of the scroll. So you would be, for a 5th level cleric spell, 1,125 for a total cost of that 6,125 or 1.5 build points.
Okay. Follow-up question. We have the components for the reincarnate. We could sell that for 60%, right? Which was, I think, 1,000.
Yeah.
So you get like we have 600 there, guys.
Oh.
All right. Well, we're less than 10% of the way.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, we don't need the oil. We won't need the oil anymore. This is better too, because then Grinland gets his actual body back, which I
albeit
feel like
with
a little more willing.
A little bit of atrophy, and his soul will come back shooketh. He won't get plot armor like Cato did. He will have to overcome some things, but he will be. There's no chance of him having the Tartuk plot arc hit him.
Right. Which is what we want to avoid, and becoming a bear bug or something.
Does he come back with a
bug?
sweet template?
Did you say a bear bug?
He's a bear bug. It's like a bugbear, but worse.
Oh, is it bugbear? Did
Yeah,
I say
It's
bugbear?
a bear bug. It's just
that one on the reincarnate.
Big ol' hairy fucking, like, I imagine something out of Rick and Morty. Like one of the random ass aliens on some random ass planet.
Okay, so
Bear bug.
say we take. So we take that money's not really gonna put that towards a wand of cure, like or something. So that's not really gonna help, because basically we're gonna have to liquidate 2 build points in order to fund the.
Which is gonna create how much instability?
I believe it. I do have a.
And like, are we gonna already have instability from this whole crucifixion debacle?
I think we should have increase in stability.
Very stable, just not happy. You guys are able to make the stability check, I think it's called, yeah, to be able to like stop anything big from happening. It'd be a different story if y'all were like, oh, right, carry on, and then just leave the bodies hanging for like imps and fey buzzards to nom upon.
Ugh.
But then
Yeah.
actually nom upon the pole because the Pagwampis unlock aura triggers and they can't get the bite attack to land. They're real scary.
So, this SRD is really alright. Withdraw from treasury.
Does anyone remember the spellcraft check or the UMD check or whatever to use the scroll?
Should be like a 20.
Oh, that's it?
It's not very
Okay,
high.
easy.
I thought the scroll was higher when it's not on your list.
Well, then we pass it over to our Taurus.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it
think we
would still
worked
go
with
to
that.
her because she's got the UMD. That's really
Oh.
crazy. I don't have
Fair.
it on my list.
Makes sense.
Well, I no longer, since I gave myself the what's it called? Archetype, I no longer get the half of my level to UMD. But my UMD is still 18 without any buffs except for guidance.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Oh, excuse me.
should
Oof.
be okay.
So with sudden insight,
I can guarantee 11 on the roll, or Arbiter counts.
Yeah,
So,
you should be
yeah,
fine.
what's that an insight? Arbiter is 34.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And then there's also the hero point if we need to spend it for an additional +8.
You
Okay.
certainly can't double scroll
Omega
this
fine.
separate. Boom.
We just need the scroll.
So we just need the
Oh,
scroll.
and in character, I still object to all this.
Oh,
Objection
and also
noted.
But I am.
well, I objected to McGarris, and here he is as our general anyways, so...
It's true. I guess I don't
Yeah,
actually have
get
the
used to
ability
it.
to stop Cato from deciding anything. Unless it infringes on the High Priest duties, which
Exactly.
I guess this doesn't do. Maybe there's an argument there, but I don't think I'll make it.
Is that a hill you want to die on?
I don't. Not yet. I'll
Not
pick a better
yet.
one.
Give it like 5 more levels. He wants to give him like 60 feet of movement so he can be not right on top of you when he chooses to die to that hill. Because then I think Arcturus wins the 1-on-1. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
He'll win initiative, then he full attacks with a gun.
So I'm not going to say I have Batman contingencies in place for every character on the team, but I
Maybe
would be
you
lying
should.
if I didn't. No, I would be lying if I say that wasn't something I
So that is why
might
you
have.
need to know the CMD, huh?
I mean, I would hope. I mean, I can certainly say that I do as well. So
Your contingency is gun. That's all the contingency you
no,
need.
there's.
I'd like to
specifically
just
for
say...
Cato, there's more involved there because he can dodge my.
I'd like to
bullets.
just say
Okay.
that as someone who is not planning on PvPing any of my allies, I have not built my character
to be.
by any of you.
Girl, you're playing a battle host occultist, though. You don't need to. You're just good.
Oh, there's that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Arcturus is the only one I've had to put actual thought, like dedicated thought into, like, do I want to alter my build slightly so that if we ever come to blows, like, I have an upper hand.
Remind me to make sure that
Haven't.
there are NPCs that are charming you guys in combat, just so I can see what these are. All of your work, not for
God
anything.
damn it.
So anyway.
I haven't gone that far to actually changing my planned out build to accommodate for PvP. I think that's pushing it. But
Are we,
anyway,
are we
yes.
taking this alone? Are we
We're talking
So
about
it
Batman.
Resurrection?
So it increases our unrest by 1 point per build point that we take out. So
The +2 unrest?
yeah, which is kind
Which
of
hopefully
nasty.
pays for itself by having Grinluke around.
Yeah.
By having another
the
member of the
idea.
council who can, like, pick up the slack.
Yeah, we can get the Hell Knights off the street and out onto the battlefield.
Where they belong. Get them out of my kingdom.
So I think we should rename Ashgard to what's a good
Barnhold.
no. Shit, I had a joke in here and I totally forgot it. 1 second.
My joke was probably better.
What's the name of that keep on in that first 2E AP, Tommy? The Hell Knight keep?
Nah, hang on. Citadel Ataran.
Yeah. We should name it that. That's the second though.
I
or
would have.
something.
I would have landed with exactly Tommy and
True.
possibly Grant because he's in here.
Well, they call it Hell Knight Hill too, don't they?
Yeah, Hell Knight Hill is
Yeah.
because I get exposition about the lore of that, but I have to check myself because
it's
I'm just
okay.
gonna burn y'all's hard-earned time. But well, funny you should mention that. In this book on this page, it brings up this thing, and I read a lot of nerd stuff and like to share it with my friends. On your dime,
that.
apparently.
We should give that fort like a Hell Knighty name, and that can be their base of operations. And
Fort Kickass.
For kick-ass.
we'll
I like it still as Ashgard because it's a tribute to the history of the kingdom.
Yeah, I kind of like Ashgard too.
I hate Ashgard.
Ashgard just has a
because-
nice sound to it.
What about? I'm sure I can come up with something. We can come up with something even cooler though. But anyway, we'll table that for now, or we'll let McGarris name it. It is going to be his stronghold, so call it whatever the hell he wants.
I suppose I might ask, is that a... Do we want to do that? Do we want to turn this into a Hell Knight Citadel?
Please no.
I mean, he's kind of lost his citadel.
Please no, guys.
Even I would.
Especially not right now, of all times.
He's gonna ask for some form of structure. I would rather it be like miles away from the city, on the border where our enemies are. I can't think of a better place to put the citadel.
Well, you know, it's funny you should bring that up. It's gonna sound like I'm railroading. I'm not. But I looked at the map and there is a a stronghold here that was once held by a bunch of trolls that the Tiger Lords lived at for a while that you haven't checked on in a while.
That's
isn't-
also an
Yeah.
option. Yeah. I'm just saying, if you were going to give him something to like base his operations out of, something on the opposite side of the kingdom, I thought
Can
would
we
make
please
everybody
not
happy.
like immediately reward him for
Yeah,
the
especially
Sure.
after this morning, I don't think.
All right. That's fair. By the way, guys, I'm giving him Ashguard.
We really need you to change the way you're doing things, Magaris. But also here, you have your own castle now.
I'm not sure how Senya feels about like Hell Knight Citadel in her forest.
Thank you. Same.
It's on the border. But okay, fine. I mean, we can-
I just want to reiterate, because people seem to forget this. Hell Knights are not a Concordian faction.
Ah,
no, you're
yes,
right.
paramilitary individual who's working as my general right now. You've done so bad. Have a castle.
Have a castle.
And now he never
Okay,
leaves.
Fair. Well, we'll table this. There we go. We'll table this for like maybe next month when the kind of the shock of the of this month's events have kind of started to dwindle a little bit. With that said, okay, so trip to Rostov, get a scroll, pay for the scroll with kingdom funds, get Grinluke back, start training. What is he? He's the Order of the Coin, right?
His archetype was
Higher.
Knight of Coins.
Knights of the Coin, yeah. So
It's awesome.
get him training up some Knights of Coin like beneath him, and then that can be an established like quote unquote. He got along with Grinluke got along with Magaris too. Those two orders kind of, they respect each other, right?
It's an interesting.
I was gonna say, out of character, he kind of talked with Kalira and talked a little bit of shit about Magaris, but I don't know that in character.
Yeah,
Oh.
there are some points in which they will agree. There are some points in which they will very vehemently disagree. I'm not sure how Abadar feels about crucifying the Fae, but I know, like, by his alignment and how he must stick to it, he doesn't like it.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
boy.
that's why we need to give them very separate jurisdictions where they can't infringe on each other. And Grinluke looking after the sort of internal security, I think, is a good way to handle that.
We give Grinluke more power than Magaris, and he has influence over Magaris and makes Magaris not what Magaris is.
Well, we need Magaris what he is when the time for battle with our enemies comes. That's the thing, is all the
Because
fury.
only Hell Knights can do battle well.
No, but all that fury and all of that, all that what he is going to be of immense value when the time comes to
I hate it so
strike
much.
out. Hmm.
I just feel like if we were able to channel more Regathiel and less Asmodeus into our boy Magaris,
Hey, maybe have that. Why don't you
There's
have
a
that sit down
path
talk
there.
with him?
well, it's not really my place. But maybe Grinluke.
Oh,
There's a possibility of some
See,
alignment.
this is what I'm
pushing
saying.
there.
Grinluke influence Magaris, not the other way around.
or at least be kind of a counterbalance, like counterweight, so the two of them
Good
kind
cop, bad cop.
of. It would make
Oh,
a great
wow.
good cop, bad cop.
It's just now it's become a very strange buddy cop movie as we go
I know,
through the
I was
rest
just
of
thinking that.
Kingmaker. Well, gee, Magaris, what do you want to do about all these gremlins? Kill him dead. Whoa, man.
Though I do feel like the good cop, bad cop routine would be like this. Grinluke would walk up to the guy and say, "Dude, you got to give me something, or he's going to crucify you." Like, I'm just gonna. Okay, so back on track because
Onward.
Onward and upward. Nice.
So that's the plan, or at least that's a plan. Okay. God, these like freestyle RP sessions are great, but it's like, okay, I'm always thinking like, what do we do next?
We gotta learn how to be at peacetime again, because there was just
I know.
so many sessions of violence and war and liches with fireballs. And now it's like I too am on my back foot running these. Like, how do I? Because I got so very used to just sitting back and y'all create the plot. Now we have to remember how to do that again.
You're welcome.
Remember, if you need an army of liches, I'll do it. I'll make it happen.
So what's our plan for getting the scroll? We're going into Rostov?
So, I don't know how the rest of the group feels about this. but I've been giving it a lot of thought over the last week when I probably should have been thinking of the Constitution. But this has been a little more
Off to a
important.
good start.
I feel like Cato would want to make that trip on his own, or at
That seems
least
incredibly stupid.
not so much alone, but with like a guard retinue, but like not bring the half dragon, half celestial, animal
Hey,
lord, like
half inevitable, please.
half inevitable, and stag lord council members all up to. I think discretion. The only reason is I think discretion is still going to be real important, and having the council, like the whole High Council of Concordia show up might be like, boom, hey, we're here. Plus, since a couple of you guys are like spreading wings and stuff, or and Cato's at least disguised.
I think just
So
one.
like, okay, fine. With that said, also we can't abandon the trip. Is going to take time. There's the travel there. Going to be the discussions there. That's going to probably take like some days. The travel back, whatever things happen over that time. The kingdom still needs like governing. Though I don't want to deny you guys rest of RP, so that's why I'm kind of conflicted on this. I feel like Cato would want to go alone to meet his father. He'd obviously bring like guards and shit, but like he wouldn't want to bring anyone from the council.
Do I
as
get to
to
be
try-
for a day again?
What?
I'll be here, so I feel like it would go to me.
Boom.
Oof.
There is some tension in this room.
I wonder how Magaris would do as.
Oh my god.
Please no.
My first act as NPC King of the Kingdom is to assign quests and railroad all of you for the rest of this adventure.
Sonia will rage quit this kingdom if
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
you make her-
I get back. It's like Yonia just left like after you did, and she hasn't
Yeah.
come back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that would never
Jubilee,
happen.
he's coming with me.
We're just gonna start a bunch of splinter kingdoms, and suddenly it's Alexander's empire after he died. We're just gonna fight over the Mediterranean world for the rest of the campaign.
So yeah, with that said, if anyone wanted to come, cool, you can come. Like I'm not gonna say like I'm going alone. You can't come with me. Fine. I'm just out of character. I don't want to like deny anyone game time and fun time and stuff. In character, Cato would make a point that he'd want to go alone. But if any of you really wanted to go, you could convince him to let you come. I'm just putting forward what his initial stance on the matter would be.
I mean,
I think you have a point in that like we draw a lot of attention the way we look right now. Senya can retract her horns, right? So she could probably go and still just look.
I'm like probably like the most normal looking out of you guys. Like maybe
She
a
can
little
hide her features without magic
chunkier.
items.
Right.
This is true.
I mean, I could probably just make myself look like a tiefling with a good disguise check.
So I probably wouldn't want to bring Grom. 'cause
Yeah.
Grom is like He's-
Yeah,
No,
Grom
we'd-
stands out.
We'd ride the carriage in. We'd do it all normal. We'd have normal goals. Everything would try to look basic ass as possible.
I mean, with these wings, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm chilling here, and I'm good with that because I had less of a calling to return. I think compared to you and possibly Ione. I don't know if she wanted.
Well, I mean, I
Galadon's
don't
not
really.
there, I don't know.
She doesn't have anything there.
A thing I might
Yeah, I mean,
point
it'd be
out
different if you were
also.
from Asia.
I think I might, because I hear what Dell is saying, and he's kind of right. But also, it's relatively common knowledge for all four of you within this setting. Any major settlement like Restov with like a standing army and walls and defenses and things like that will detect magic people coming in at the gates. So the Hat of Disguise is good, but it's only good so far. You would, while going to Restov is certainly something you can do, it will take more than like, here is the one thing and now I am good sort of scenario.
So because it's a polymorph, I think it requires true seeing to see through, or actual dispel. Like if someone straight up went like dispel magic on you, then I think that works. But
Right, but detect magic would,
Yeah.
they would ping a transmutation on you.
okay, but they'd have to actually, they wouldn't know what it was.
And then someone could make the spellcraft check, and then someone would be like, hey, why don't you, here is what transmutation is, what's going on with you? Billions of questions are asked.
Fair enough. But they
And
wouldn't.
then you roll like a stellar bluff check telling them that you have some sort of like awful mutation that makes you hideous and you're really embarrassed about it.
Guys, leave me alone, it's a condition. Oh, that's fine, please, welcome to Restov.
That's true. If anyone was gonna, past bluffs and diplomacies to get around any questions. Cato is the guy to do it.
The convincing proof
So, yeah.
penalty on bluff is -10 or -20.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm saying is they will know something is up, bad things will happen.
Alternative plan, and I believe this was our original plan for today's session, is we could go check out this stronghold that we never actually...
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we might not have to take out build points if we do that, because we might just find
a diamond.
from there.
Oh,
Never know.
here's a diamond worth 5,000.
Or I mean, it
feel-
might at least like reduce our
It'll
cost by
help.
like 1 build point or something. I don't know.
That's true. It could help the amount that we actually. I don't think it's going to cover a 6,000.
Maybe
gold,
we'll find a scroll of resurrection in there.
Stranger things have happened.
Dell and I have been joking that what's in there is a map to a Cyclops Lich lair.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just all of the
Clues
stuff
and
from book 2 that you should
Yeah.
have found.
Remember when we found the statue of Aristil after we defeated the Stag
Yeah.
Lord? And it
Yeah.
gave us those buffs that just wore off because we had nothing to do with them.
Yep, I do.
One of those situations.
I feel like this troll lair is going to have that. Oh, here's a book. Here's a journal of like rumors of a lich slumbering in whatever those mountains are called. Like, anyway,
Let's do that. Let's go check
why
out
don't
the
we do
strike.
that? Yeah.
And then afterwards, we'll figure out how we want to handle getting into Restov. And then maybe while you're doing that, I can stay behind and start work on the museum.
That too, because we need to do things in sequence. That's the thing. We need people here to govern. We have the museum project underway. I know Tommy says big risks involved with going at it alone. I
think Senya would be the best. To bring
Yeah.
with her.
Senya's real strong, and she could be like,
And very
Cheap
passable, as nothing is different about her.
But also a
She's
known
fun.
entity.
yeah, that's
Like-
true, because she was there.
She is a PC of greater than 8th level. I think I remember reading this in a 3.5 book, but I've carried it in all my games. Once you hit level 8, everyone on the continent knows who you are. And on
shit.
top of that, she's also the viceroy of a nation in the River Kingdoms, which is right next to Restov.
So do we also know everyone who's level 8 or higher on the continent?
Yeah, with like knowledge and ability checks and things.
Yeah.
That'd be like, tell me about the
Cato.
king of Varizia, and then throw the check.
So
Cato got that in spades.
No, I don't. I have 3 points in it because it was
Oh.
a prerequisite for the Eldori Sword Lord prestige class.
Okay,
I
never
immediately
mind.
stopped putting points into it after that. Yeah, but here's the thing too. Senya's backstory. She actually, when the Black Stags, well, I'm speaking for you now, but when the Black Stags were killed, she went to Restov asking for help, and they said,
Correct.
Join
Then
our-
several years in
join
the
our-
plot has happened. I'm telling you, no one of you gets in there on your own.
"Would 2 of us get in there on our own?
4 of you might be able
Wow.
to figure it out.
4 of us might be able to figure it out." Okay. So infiltration is not a valid strategy.
No, it certainly is. Just not like, I don't look like a weird thing. I walk in, or I have one plot item I walk in, kind of thing. It's a,
Here's another idea: is we still have some remaining Hell Knights. Is it possible that maybe one of them can cast teleport? Question mark.
no, all of the casters are dead.
Ooh.
Otherwise, Megaris would have left.
Oh, that's right.
He had no way of getting home without traveling through.
Yeah, but
Enemies
we're
on
one
all.
caster short of being away from that guy.
Yeah. No, we're not allowed to have wizards, guys. That's a rule for Concordia. No wizards allowed, apparently.
No nerds allowed.
Because that makes things too easy.
It does, though.
Well, I'm hoping that the construction of the museum brings in some more scholarly types.
Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll make the Restov trip. So you all convince me that y'all want to go for whatever reason, because the GM, this omniscient being that seems to, watch over us has, gave elbow jabs to everyone in the rip, saying not a good idea to let him go alone. And then, so we'll push that off until after we've done a few of the things here, and we can leave. So, yeah, why don't we head out to that troll lair? Let's do that. That's a thing, and something we've put off for almost a year now.
God, you have to. Do I still have that map prepared? Is there a... Hold up. Let me... Where is... Do I have... Yeah, there's Hargulka's lair that we never did. Is there anything on this map? There is stuff on this map. But that stuff is all like, here are some CR4 animals that I don't have much of a desire to send against Artoris, who flies up and shoots them like fish in a barrel.
I mean, I might not.
Yeah, we might just walk through and they might just scatter and flee at our... I don't know. Has anyone else taken up that area since the death of the Troll King that happened?
Do you guys just like, is it an immediately we are leaving?
If you want time to prep the area.
Oh, I don't need time to prep. I'm just asking.
We...
Like, is that a, do we make the journey immediately?
I'm okay with that.
Same.
I have nothing further.
Okay. Fair enough. So then if it is the will of the council, the meeting is adjourned. Bakken is still like pretty annoyed at circumstances and grumbles something under his breath and then leaves. The chief is confused why he's so upset, shrugs, off he goes. The journey is, with the road, it's considerably faster. The road is also patrolled by your soldiers now, so there's like a 0% chance of anything jumping out and doing harm unto you. As I track the road, you guys would get there in, probably like 3 days or so. I'm not going to open a book that is 2 books old for this campaign for flavor text. Rather, I'll just wing it. The stronghold is, as y'all had previously learned, once upon a time this was a dwarven citadel, an outpost from one of the nearby sky citadels perhaps, or like they popped out of the Darklands here and then fortified the area. It's very obvious as you see like pulled out of, and most likely stone-shaped, the big square-shaped crenellations. It is a very defensible location and has outlasted the test of time. The front door, as you like, the path leads up the side of it, and it's a very, very small and narrow thing. Heading up to the door, there is no discernible means of opening it. It appears to be just one stone slab.
So before there was like, was there like windows? I can't remember how we were able to see. I might be getting it confused with Ashgard, actually.
Yeah, there are like simple crenellations, and as you're moving up the path, what would, I guess, just murder holes, basically, where people would shoot down huck rocks and things.
Yeah.
Like, this place was built, because the knowledge checks are arbitrarily high at this point for this, built to be entirely self-sufficient and outlast whatever would be thrown at it.
Cato takes her Golka's key and taps it on the stone.
Nothing happens.
I could have sworn there was a door here. I could have sworn there was a door here the last time. Yeah, and it opened. Yeah. No, we need to turn the slabs of stone around to the right pattern of animals.
Or maybe we just like detect magic, and maybe there's like a.
Oh, you're actually gonna play the game. Okay.
Not just meme.
I can fire. Do you have that?
No.
Nope. I will fire off detect magic to see if I detect anything magical about this stone slab.
You do not know.
Ooh. Surprising.
Okay. What is the spellcraft mod on Ionia, really quickly?
Before buffs, presumably?
Yeah.
23.
Okay, so then you would know without rolling. It's very clear someone at some point stone-shaped this place shut. As if to just like tag the floor, raise it up. There's no like latent magic on it, which would then further indicate that it happened a long time ago. And any, I believe that's a transmutation, but I could be wrong, from the stone shape has long since dissipated back into the world.
Well then,
So
we
there
have
were-
a big block of stone in our way.
So we know that there were Tiger Lords here because I got cold feet, and after we cleared out Ashgard, I didn't want to push our luck doing a 2v Tommy again.
It was three.
So-
It was Artoris, Cato, Senia,
That's true.
I believe.
That's true. There was 3 of us. But yeah, I didn't want to push our luck. So maybe when the Tiger Lords left, they stone-shaped a wall here.
How long ago was that?
That was before we started getting nuked. That was before we killed a raven.
Yeah.
Like a
So it was even
year?
before our year, or our 6 months of prosperity, or however long that was.
Yeah.
3 months. 6
Mhm.
That was a long time ago.
Okay, so this is kind of a weird idea, but would I be able to scry inside and see if there's some kind of like hidden doorway or something?
Huh.
No, but you would, because scry requires a target. But
Oh,
you
okay.
could, if there's an opening somewhere, you could poke around with something on the order of like an arcane eye would be able to slip in.
Okay, well, I
Or-
guess let's do that.
Or failing that, there are, I don't know what the strength scores in the party are right now. You could just try to tear the stone down. It would take a long time to do.
Well, let's first things first. Let's try to find a crack in the wall, send in a mind eye. I also have mage hand, so if there's something in there that we can like, some kind of lever we can pull or something, maybe, I don't know.
I don't think stone-shaped walls come with levers to open.
But they would have
Unfortunately,
had to have gotten out some way, right?
Well, they walk out and then
And
they
then
stone shape it.
stone-shaped, Yeah.
They didn't stone-shape themselves inside, and then they're like, "Shit! Now we need a secret passage." to get out."
Oh, damn, this was a bad idea. That was the last spell slot. Oh!
Whoops!
Do I have
now we're
any
stuck in here. and we
way
die.
of?
Maybe they have like a tunnel.
Oh, I could get in actually.
Secret tunnel.
If I-
Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel. You could travel the main in, yeah.
Yeah, I could travel the main through one of those windows.
Hmm.
But I mean,
But then you're
and I'm just in there. What does that do? I guess I could find the chest for the key.
trying to think if there's anything we can do to just
Wait,
get this
wait.
rock out very quickly.
If we give Artoris the portable hole, and then he travel domains in, loots the place, puts everything in the hole, and then travel domain out.
Yeah, but we kind of want to
Oh.
claim the place too, right?
We can actually put ourselves in the portable hole for up to 5 minutes, right? There's like 5 minutes worth of air.
Oh my god.
No, I'm not kidding. He takes it in there, and then we all jump out.
Like one of those cakes.
I guess
That's not.
that.
That's not.
I mean, I guess that's a GM call.
Cato is technically correct.
Okay.
The rest of the party would be in a pocket dimension at the time.
And then he just.
Because I
opens
have
it.
like I have rules for taking people with me. Like it takes up more of my travel domain charges per day if I do that. I don't know if that circumvents that by putting people into an extra dimensional space, and then it's just like I'm holding an item.
I believe technically it does.
Okay, well then, I guess we
let's
can
use
do
the
that
tools.
if you.
Let's use the tools at our disposal, guys. There's no reason
and,
not. I
and
mean,
then and then once we've like checked the place out, we can send a team over to like start breaking down a doorway or something.
Fair enough.
sure, a dwarven stronghold could be of use.
It is incredibly defensible.
Do you guys think? Wait, you said this is a dwarven stronghold?
Mm-hmm.
What if there's like underground stuff that connects to the dwarven stuff at Siskill Caverns?
It is entirely possible. Actually, matter of fact, it's entirely probable.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So we could just. Why don't we just? We could go back to the soot scale estates and just venture through down and see where those tunnels ultimately lead, and that would be That would be a whole new. That'd be a
That's
mega
a
dungeon.
completely different campaign.
And now we're playing a Darklands game. Oh, good. Here comes a CR 15 monster, and it's 20 CR 26 best friends. Whoops. It's very dangerous down here. Test those templates out real hard.
What would be cool though is if we could like get a bunch of like beings that do well in dark underground places and start like doubling our population with the dwarven ruins underneath.
Is a thing you could do. Anyway, around it.
Are we jumping in the portable hole?
I guess.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's get in there. Just like a pool, guys, just cannonball in.
No, so we've got, I think there's 5 minutes of air inside there for one person, so like there's like a minute for all of us, so like kind of hold your breath. Hold your breath.
Does that like refresh once we all come out, or are we gonna be like stuck once we come through?
So when you open it refills with air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have Cato, Prince, Senya, Grom, Ionia, Minoru, and Arbiter doesn't breathe.
No, he does not.
So there's 6 of us taking up air.
Do we need to bring Grom inside the... Would he fit? Probably. Trolls fit in there, so I imagine Grom would. I just don't know if... That's up to Senya if you want to bring... Yeah.
What if there's monsters in there?
See, I'm pretty sure whatever's in there. We can.
I don't think, like in character, I don't think anything's in there because the Tiger Lords cleared it out and they clearly.
Yeah, but how long ago was that? Maybe some like giant spiders moved in.
How? There's a stone-shaped wall in the way.
The secret tunnel, obviously.
Senya can fight. Could probably solo anything in there without her. So like, that's what I'm saying. It probably doesn't make sense to bring Grom in, just unless she really wants Grom in the cave.
Senya kind of looks at everyone dubiously and slowly puts away her grappling equipment. Yeah, I guess I'll keep Grom outside. He doesn't need to be in there.
And I'll have Prince guard the entrance as well.
And I guess I'll leave Minoru here too, so at least if they get attacked, they can all have each other's back.
Arbiter's coming with me.
As you're familiar, so there's a difference. A little difference. All right. Ooh.
I mean, he doesn't breathe. I think that's the difference.
That does make a difference. Yeah.
It does make a big difference. Right. Okay. So everybody piles into the plot thing, and Arcturus teleports inside to. Indeed, that's the noise it makes now. That's by the power of Abadar. Whoop.
And then he decides to keep it closed and lets us all suffocate.
And that's the end of y'all.
Very grim ending, yeah.
Oops!
Do that.
Time for Skull Shackles. That's what you get for getting everybody motherfucking crucified. Okay, so I ramble. A wide flight of stone stairs leads up to a circular chamber with a high ceiling. A foul stench fills the air, which has got even more stagnant since that door doesn't open, emanating from truly Arcturus as you teleport in layers of filth that are just caked on the floor. You open the portable hole and everyone can smell that smell as out they come. There is technically a map for this I can put y'all on if you want to be on it. It is kind of arbitrary.
I like maps.
He likes maps. Got it. By order of the king, crucify all the maps. Oh, gotta find some characters to put in here. Bam. Gotta size some tokens for a board that's entirely not autographed from Brotwadi.
Oh, is the cavern like pitch black? Like, is there lighting?
There is not.
There's no lighting.
In the room you're in, there kinda is from like bits that are coming through the murder holes.
So Cato's gonna let his alter self enchantment drop so that he gets his dark vision. So there's a shimmer, and then Cato's features return to their grisly state. Horns, a few short horns protrude from his cranium. His nails sharpen, his teeth like daggers.
So I wasn't expecting to do combat this session, so I haven't updated some tokens. I know some people have paid for art for tokens, but I never did. So have some old ass Cato with 35 hit points.
Also, since echolocation apparently lasts forever, and it is dark in here, I'm gonna put that on so I've got blind sight.
Sounds good.
Oh, and this actually brings up. Well, never mind. We can talk about it after the game.
God, I have so many of all the things now. Can make 9 attacks of opportunity around.
Sounds about right. Well, y'all are free to... Did I move you onto the board? Our players on player board?
I can't see myself.
I can't see anything.
Does it help if I do this?
Nope. I saw the ping.
Oh, you know why? Because this map's so old. Dynamic lighting was updated, so I have to turn it back on so you can see anything.
I
Dumb.
can see. Oh, now I can't.
Oh,
I
for a
could see.
second.
I see my token now.
Nice.
Yeah.
What I might do. I'm just gonna... This map doesn't matter as much as other maps have in the past, so I might just kick off all of the lighting and let the map be the map. There's no longer secrets around the corner here. Oh, dynamic lighting! Select all of that dynamic lighting that I worked so hard on. Kill it dead! Ah, there is still one Tiger Lord on the map. Get out of there, one remaining Tiger Lord! It's dangerous for you here.
I kind of wish we'd come here when the Tiger Lords were here. TBH. Missed. Oh well, we'll kill plenty of Tiger Lords
You will.
in the coming months.
Soon. Okay, y'all should all now be able to see for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we came in. So this was where the door was shut.
Yeah. There's a stone-shaped door here. You presumably would have gone like right here into one of those. Where you would have line of sight to teleport in.
And this is built into like a hill or a mountain or something?
Yes, into the side of a pretty
Sweet.
big hill.
It's a hobbit stronghold.
Well, dwarf, but...
Which are medium creatures for some reason.
Mhm.
I always pictured dwarves would be like the coolest small race to play as, but turns out they're medium.
They
Ruined
are.
all my
Yeah.
plans.
Which way are we going?
Is this a staircase up? That looks like an up staircase, right?
Yeah, both the staircases lead up.
Oh. Let's just go through here. Bam.
Alrighty. A large stone
wait.
table. Yes?
Shoot, damn it. I wanted to. I just remembered that you said there was filth on the ground. I wanted to see if we could determine what the hell that was about. But
Do it.
he walked through.
He
So-
stepped into the trap. That one fungus is back and it hurts you real bad. A large stone table takes up the center of this large chamber whose walls have been decorated with ancient carvings that have been defaced and vandalized with crude graffiti in several languages. There's a lot of it is in Giant and Faded. Some of it is in Hallett. Some of it is in just like... some of it's probably in Sylvan.
Anything that jumps out that's in Giant or Hollid?
Probably not lots of not nice things about Concordia and like the Black Stags in general.
Those jerks. Get the crucifixions ready.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Nice, come on. Interesting.
Are you just gonna step on every tile looking for traps?
Pretty much. Is the sludge up this way too? Or the filth?
Yeah, it's pretty gross just universally in here. All of you have some kind of dark vision or ability to perceive the world around you, so you cannot step in things you don't want to step in. It's not going to be book one all over again. But it's pretty gross. It smells real bad.
Ugh.
What kind of check would it be to determine what in the hell that is about?
Survival would be good. Knowledge of nature. So basically, what you're looking at as you go, dare I say, sifting. Ionia could.
No, not anymore.
This whole session is just weird. This is the one that time forgot. So the oldest bits of grossness laying around the place are like obviously the remains of trolls, half-eaten food, and just general waste everywhere. They are creatures that don't particularly mind living in their own filth. More recently, granted, not any kind of like yesterday sort of thing, but more recently than the trolls, more of like droppings from things like smilodons, dire wolves, creatures like that you presume had been like led in here to like hole up and shelter and then weren't let out, shall we say.
Oh.
Then when the Tiger Lords presumably abandoned the stronghold and sealed up the place, they didn't pick up after they left.
I still don't get why they would. What were they protecting in here? They must have intended to maybe return, and so they thought they could seal something up in here and not bring it with them. Maybe too big, too heavy. All the questions running through Cato's mind right now. Why the hell they would have bothered to seal up the cave? Seems like a lot of work for if they were not planning to return.
Like one spell. Like a low-level spell, even.
Oh my goodness.
But still, why go through the effort? It's a cave. Been hiding out in, like, what benefit is there?
Just to make it inconvenient for us.
Yeah, just to waste our time trying to get in somewhere where there's nothing.
But probably isn't that simple.
That said, let's
possible, but... Oh, wait. Wait
Tony just has to argue with me about everything.
No. That's a good question, Del. Why would they seal it? No!
Oof.
Good thing natural ones on skill checks aren't auto-fails.
Indeed.
Still, though, like 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I know.
So it seems the most logical conclusion to you that they would seal it to indeed make it a little less accessible. Maybe they wanted to come back to it at some point. Maybe they just wanted to make it harder for you to have. It is a very defensible location, though, dirty or otherwise.
They didn't want us to have it should the war break out, maybe.
Which then further raises the question of if it's so defensible, why would they leave it, kind of thing. There are a couple of, like, the yellow flags tie into each other in a strange infinite loop of yellow flags, right? Like, this is a very defensible place. Obviously, they would want to keep it out of our hands. They should do this. But wait, no, this is a very defensible place, and it would cost us a lot to funnel through and start attacking these people. Why wouldn't they just hold it? And then, like, the cognitive dissonance compounds on itself.
So basically what you're saying is just a Jabberwock upstairs.
That could be. Let me grab a token real quick.
Looking down this way, what do I see down there? I have enough dark vision for that.
Likewise.
Thick chains bolted to the wall. Floor is covered with bones. The stench of rotting meat hits you pretty fast, even over the smell of like all of the offal that still remains throughout the lair.
I'm glad I didn't bring the Norgu in.
You assume, yeah, at some point this might have been like a kennel for troll hounds, or maybe had been used by the Tiger Lords to store their own creatures.
Okay. Gross. Well, unless anyone
Are there
wants
any?
to go...
Is there anything else remaining in the room, or is it just more waste and foul?
There are a couple of pretty strong iron chains still stuck in the wall.
Not holding anything, though?
No. Looks to be at one point they were connected to something. Or probably like the connecting piece is still attached to the chain, but whatever it connected to, who knows where it is. That kind of thing.
The Troll King did bring some pretty large trollhound-like creatures at us when he attacked. So that would make sense to be like a kennel. of some kind. Okay.
You're like thoroughly searching each room, you think?
I mean, Cato doesn't want to stay in that room any longer than he absolutely has to. Does being blind make your sense of smell stronger?
Ugh.
I think there is something about that somewhere, but it's like part of a feat, maybe?
These are the questions we ask ourselves.
But yeah, if you want to, like, I don't know, whatever that cantrip is on each room.
I don't have that anymore.
Oh, boo. No more sift here.
One thing you were good for in a dungeon crawl.
I mean, she could mind's eye the whole dungeon in basically any dungeon in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, you don't like when I do that.
Should I be... Would perception checks? I mean,
No, because your perception, specifically, Inquisitor, is so high that you see all the things.
Okay. So you're just giving us that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a...
Alright, well, I mean, we could stand in this room longer, but what say we move on?
Sounds good. Into R6.
Into R6. So, this one's a little more interesting. In this room, there are stacked boxes, barrels, and crates and things from floor to ceiling. There's a very rough wooden... You wouldn't call them wooden shelves so much as, like, wood to stack the boxes on kind of thing. On the other side, right here, as if, like, someone had just stopped making the rest of the structure, the walls begin to turn from what you're seeing into the walls of a cave.
The crates and the stacked... You said crates and barrels?
Mm-hmm.
Can I open one of them?
Yeah, sure. I'll roll a d4. There's a snake! So, popping open the first barrel is... It's one of the crates, we'll say, full almost to the top with, like, mundane tools, shovels, pitchforks, hammers, nails, so on and so forth. They appear to be pretty, like, recently made and in the style not dissimilar from what you would find in Concordia. Like, somebody brought it with them in their toolbox kind of thing, except there's a lot of them.
Hey, building supplies. Maybe these were the tools and supplies that they were using to further build out the structure into the cave, but then, for whatever reason...
Not quite. It seems like these predate the structure, or rather, these are about a couple thousand years newer than the structure. It seems more like somebody was, like, just gathering supplies, and as you pop open more, like, boxes and things, the food stuff is mostly non-perishable. Some of it has been, like, half eaten into, some of it indeed has gone bad. Bolts of cloth, household supplies, lumber, things like that. There's about 4 build points worth of stuff here.
Well, that's probably worth taking.
Presumably when folks left, they just couldn't take it with them because there is a shitload. It would be really hard. Y'all have lots of time and a road that leads right back to civilization, and, like, your forces are not far from here. We can grab enough people to make a supply chain, but, like, the Tiger Lords running back to Numeria, different story.
And that's why they stonewalled the door. Vindicated.
Vindication!
I knew they kept... There might be even more stuff that they left behind. But yes, this is great. At least we have Grinluke Resurrection levels of build points in this room.
We can resurrect Grinluke with this lumber.
Just take the fucking 2x4 and beat him over the head. Oh, stop! I'm awake! Fuck!
I was just napping, you guys. I just wanted to wait out the war against the stupid Lich.
Jeez! I was shirking my duty. That's my whole plot arc.
I hope not. That would be so disappointing.
Don't tempt me. You started me on my back foot. I'll do this to you. Grinluke was just napping, haha, and also he's Vorticai now. Vorticai with the half Jabberwock template. That's not a template. If there was a half Jabberwock template, that'd be... I will make it legal. But, anywho, as Cato, as you move in there, indeed, it goes from What Ionia would be able to tell you very easily, like, the parts that are made of worked stone were presumably all the dwarves needed to fortify, and the rest is just a cave structure. It could, and probably does, go pretty far down beneath the surface of Golarion.
And as Ionia mentioned, might even link back with Sootscale Estates if you were to follow it far enough, which we won't do, but
because it could also go anywhere else. It could link you back to where that big dwarven settlement was. It could take you to where the Drow ambush party is, and anywhere in between.
At this point, in character, I would like. Are we intending on going further? Who knows how long this could go?
Oh, there was that other
other
passage from that main room.
Out of character, I see 4 rooms. We should at least.
Right, but in character, I don't know that we can justify that. Like, we would assume this would go on forever.
Oh, let's explore for a little bit until we.
Like the lighting is on, right?
I mean, yeah, your characters see what your characters see, but there's nothing like hiding from you on this board. And rather than dig with the dynamic lighting for 15 minutes, I just kicked it off. I guess I'll also say, like, if this is going into the Darklands, at some point it will probably slope downwards, which it has yet to do.
Okay, that's all.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
There we go. Excellent. All right, let's just get the R7.
Well, don't call it that. God damn it.
I mean,
R7 as in room 7.
It is very helpful for me when people do that, because then I gotta, like, what room are we? Where is? Scroll on something, be frustrated. The rough tunnel widens into a 30-foot-high natural cavern hung with dripping stalagmites. Gnawed bones litter the floor, while the northern portion of the room holds a collection of severed humanoid heads arranged around a large circle drawn on the floor with dried blood. There's also a pretty sizable humanoid skeleton, most disturbingly with 2 heads, just like smack in the middle of the room.
That's unsettling.
You said it's a human skeleton with 2 heads?
A humanoid.
Humanoid.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of knowledge check to know what that is?
Nature would help. Object read a bone.
Oof. Do it, Sonia. Got this.
A 16 actually wouldn't get it. A 27, however, looks like... It's hard to tell. It's been here for a while. You would assume like an Etten or some kind of mutated troll with 2 heads. Maybe something that had been experimented on in the Darklands, because truly that happens, and been thrown back onto the surface world to do whatever all. Whatever it is, it's very, very dead and has been for a while.
It's like a skeleton, so it's been like dead like a very, very long time.
It's, I guess, mostly skeleton, I should say. Like, there are bits of dried, advanced stages of decay kind of remains.
You ever get the feeling like there was an NPC here we could have met if we hadn't taken so long?
No.
No? Just me? Okay.
Maybe. Though.
I've never
Or
been. I don't know what you're talking about.
had we come here earlier, a lich might have popped into the room and went, "Raise dead!" Or not raise, animate dead, and then poof.
Oh, that'd have been good too. This is not the worst thing to animate dead. Looking around, the humanoid heads in the room are very clearly, to all of you, you don't recognize individuals, but like the long braided, not as in they have braided their hair, but as in like they have never brushed their very long hair in its entire existence, and their beards as well. Big old like Kelid heads, universally, presumably Tiger Lords.
Can I do a heal check to try and discern how the Etten died?
Yeah, sure.
Man,
He ran out of hit points.
4.
Severe lack of HP, and that would do it. It's all of the bones are intact. Matter of fact, the skeleton is remarkably well together and preserved. So if by violence, not physical violence, and looking around the room, it seems like this creature was responsible for the death of, about a dozen odd Tiger Lords, which leads you to think it's really hard to say exactly what hit it, but some kind of magic that would cause it to just, like, immediately seize up and die, kind of thing.
Ooh, some pretty heavy magic.
Killer.
Shadow word death. Wait, I don't know if such things exist.
Something on the order of, like, I guess technically something even as easy as, like, acid arrow could have done it without, like, harming the skeleton, but it could have also been something along the lines of, like, innervation or all the phantasmal killers you've seen. Could have been one of those.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's a story here, but unless Ionia wants to object read and find it out.
Is that what we want to do?
I don't know what
I don't know.
purpose it would have other than just my own curiosity.
Yeah, I don't care either way. I'm not too curious about. I mean, you're right. It's idle curiosity. Like, how did he die? We kind of know.
It
He
also
probably died in
killed
battle.
all these Tiger Lords. I don't know.
Maybe he'll.
Maybe we should arrest this guy too.
Oh my god.
He's been dead for a
Well-
long time and was not gentle riposte. You will need much more powerful magic for this, but it is doable.
If you're willing to pay.
Comes back just in absolute agony.
Oh, the fuck! Let me die!
Okay, so I don't know. It's up to you, Ione, if you walk up and start fondling the bones or not. But
I
it
mean,
does
if
start moving
we're
its way out of the room.
if it's inconsequential and we're just curious, Tommy, let me know how you'd feel about this. Maybe we just take one of the bones and then object read through like text RP.
You certainly could. I wouldn't. Inconsequential is, in a campaign like this, a funny thing to say.
Well, then maybe we should just object read it.
All right, I guess we're object reading.
I'm always up for
So I have a new thing
Of course.
that might be better for this particular thing. So let me guys know what you think about.
Hit it with legend
This
lore.
instead.
Oh, that would be good too. Unfortunately, you don't have access to a drop of its blood.
Oh, I just assumed there was blood because I thought it was not fully decomposed. Okay, we'll just object read it. I have more of those anyway.
Alrighty. So you pick up the femur of this thing, I suppose. Close your eyes, concentrate. You are overwhelmed with the immense sense of gratification as you take one of these weak, puny little humans' heads and jam it down on a spike. You're very sure Hargulka won't find any of your treasure, because why would he look in these and, like, you see your arm wave broadly. These glorious trophies if Hargulka ever comes back. I wonder where Hargulka is. Hargulka's been gone for a while. There's a little bit of time pass. You feel hunger, you feel boredom. You feel hunger and boredom kind of mixed together. You resolve that maybe you don't actually need, you realize you don't really need all of the trophies. Pluck one of the heads of the little Kelid woman off the spike and down it in one. It is immensely satisfying. Then out of the corner of your eye, a very scrawny, almost unnaturally so. Give me a knowledge nature.
Can I summon insight this one?
Yes. Senia, unfortunately, unless you can get yourself into Ionia's brain.
Okay.
Mind Link is a spell.
Well, there we go then.
There we go. So at first glance, this is where kind of like the Mind Link cognitive dissonance happens. Like the Etten sees this and just, even for a human, you're too skinny. What? And then like your brain starts to process what looks like a a human woman in brown robes. Then as her hand comes out and you realize the fingers are like 6 inches too long and end in like almost like thorns, I guess, rather than fingernails. The eyes are a little too blue. It's hard to say what you're looking at. The person has very obviously made attempts to disguise themselves, but some kind of fae. You notice the, like, emblazoned on the center of her robe, an enormous red eye, again, the unholy symbol of Girona. She snaps her fingers. You feel an overwhelming sense of fear and have to, like, disconnect from the object reading. Well, I guess don't have to. More like as a reflex, you drop it, let it fall, as the creature succumbs to some form of magic.
Well, I'll regale the crew with that tale. I got the impression with the symbology, especially, that she was a hag.
Not a hag, to be clear. Hags are not fae. They are monstrous humanoids. You would say something more along the lines of
maybe associated with the hags, though.
Yeah, or at least their faith.
Fae, more fae shenanigans. I'm telling you, we can't trust them.
Many of my friends are fae, so...
Okay, we can trust some of them.
Well, suppose this doesn't tell us anything we didn't already suspect.
What was the treasure he was referring to was just like trophies from the corpses, right?
Now, seemed to be more he was hiding something inside the heads.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. I
got that impression, but Arcturus
yeah. I guess I will. So I'm gonna pick up one of the skulls and.
Well, we maybe want to like or not object read. Do we maybe want to detect magic on one of the heads?
I'm doing the kick the door down at this. I'm just gonna pick up one of the heads and like try to like open it, like try to like the brittle bone.
I say as I wear the skin of a cyclops.
As Cato is doing this, I'm just gonna turn to Arcturus since he's nearby and say, "You remember when he was upset about getting his shoes dirty?"
Feels like so long ago.
Well, he's got much more than his shoes dirty, as he's now ordered the crucifixion of several gremlins. From humble beginnings, dirtying our shoes, to too much sylvan blood on our hands. As you remove one of the heads, presumably after Ionia tells you there's something in there, and about... how would this... I'm trying to think how... The head is jammed down on a stalagmite. As you pull it off, you see the... almost like a jack-o'-lantern. The bottom has been like hollowed out and going and rattling around and stuff. As you pull it out, probably about like 50 gold or so falls out. As well as I want to say Arcturus has this Ioun stone. Do you have a Dusty Rose Ioun stone?
I do.
Another one of those, an exact copy, is why I don't flavor text it at all. Falls out, tries to orient around the head that it would try to cling to, and then just kind of lands amongst the gold.
Man, the cracked Dusty Rose prism?
Yeah, the +1 to initiative one.
So there are currently 4 of those orbiting the party right now.
Sounds about right. 250 gold for a +1 initiative.
So hey, this guy had the right idea.
And in total, they're about 1,000 gold from each head. In total falls out of them. It's all of it is whether or not somebody made an effort to jack-o'-lantern the heads of these people. It's still pretty gross, and some of it probably has like decayed disgustingness stuck to it. But money indeed.
That was how much total?
1,000 gold. Some of that was given to you in silver and copper. I don't want to fathom 2,000 copper falling out of some dude's head. I kind of want to fathom that, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Not at all.
So 1,000 gold and 1 cracked dusty rose prism, basically, is what the total. Okay, cool.
Actually, it doesn't. It doesn't. Hang on one sec. I need to, because this AP is really old. I want to go back and double check if this particular Ironstone has a different thing on it. Because if it does, that's what that is. And there's a lot of like 3.5 loot on these loot tables. Okay, never mind. This one is not the cracked one. Rather, this is a just run-of-the-mill Dusty Rose Prism, the +1 insight bonus to AC one.
Holy, that's
worth about 5,000 gold.
Yeah.
It's worth about a diamond.
That is.
There's some things in this cave.
If only. Man, if only we came here a year ago.
Well,
kidding.
yeah.
Oh, good.
That's pretty good
Now.
loot for the like level 5 or 6 you were supposed to be when you came through here.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We still haven't found out what this key does. Though maybe it was just the door that was now stone shaped. But I still hold out hope that the key will have some use. We'll see.
Just constantly tries to jam things.
Jam the key everywhere.
This key works here. No, it doesn't. Let it go, man. It's a key item. I can't. It's just stuck to your hand evermore. You can never get rid of it.
Alright. Until we actually stepped in here, I half forgot this was a disgusting troll lair. I was like, ooh, cool, Dwarven Ruins. And then every time Tommy describes a room, I'm like, oh yeah, trolls were here.
Trolls and people leaving their animals in the house, and a lot of things have come through here over the course of time. This room, just kind of littered with about a half dozen pallets made of branches, leaves, and like really smelly, uncured hides, as if you just skinned an animal and said, this is a blanket now. Presumably this is where folks were resting. You don't really see anything of value in here as you go looking around.
So just cots and blanket, like skins.
Just pallets on the floor, basically.
Oh, okay. Imagine living in such squalor, Cato says out loud.
As you move a little farther forward, people's dark vision can pick right about there. There is a tacked to the wall, which is no small feat because someone has taken a nail and like run it into stone. The nail is probably beyond all hope of repair, and also the amount of sheer brute force this would have taken is an immediate like, this must have been the trolls. A very large map of the region drawn on the back of, you assume the hide, or you don't need to assume, y'all are very smart. On the back of it, like thylacine hide, there are a bunch of locations marked, including where y'all are, as well as Concordia, as well as Rooston. The map is very far out of date, but does still, like, unerringly lead to a lot of different places.
Does it mark Mordecai's?
His tomb?
Yeah.
No, but there are several, like, scraggled on it in very clearly a second hand, as one of them has just kind of, as if you'd grabbed like a, like a grape or something and then drawn on this and then made that stick, has been, we are here, here is Roost, and so on. And then someone has come over top with like an ink pen kind of thing, or like a, not an ink pen, but like an ink and brush, and drawn several pathways up through that part of the world. All of them dance around where the tomb is, but none of them land quite right. There's also some that branch out from where this is farther back into Glenabon, as well as like the Hooktongue Slough area. It's pretty clear, marking like we have checked this way, there was nothing here. We have checked this way, there was nothing here, so on and so forth.
Scouting reports, basically.
Mm-hmm. Y'all knew the Tiger Lords were looking for something. Y'all knew that they were presumably looking for a very powerful artifact that Vorticai was using.
Mm.
Oh, were they looking for the Oculus?
Mm.
Poor guys.
And then presumably
Poor guys.
once either, it's hard to say, possibly when they got the big fight that got interrupted with the Jabberwock, maybe word got back to them that all of you had destroyed the Oculus of Abaddon or something else in between that would have called them back. They just abandoned everything that was here and took off. This place no longer being as serviceable to them as it was when they were using it as like a forward scouting camp.
Makes sense.
Man, they were willing to go to war.
You cut out
Willing
there,
to go to.
I was gonna say they were willing to go to war with everyone on their.
Oh, we lost him again. Damn. Keep your push to talk button held down. Or
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
What I tried to say was, they were willing to go to war with everyone on their eastern front just to get to that.
Oculus. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a very, very powerful thing. And had it fallen into the hands of other enemies of yours, it wouldn't have been good.
Would have been interesting though. Never dull.
Never a dull moment. Druids
Imagine using
everywhere.
it against them.
You certainly could have. I'm sure a lot of people, like at a game, have ended Kingmaker by, I'm going to hold on to the Oculus of Abaddon and nuke my enemies with it, because you just can.
But we had to do the good thing and the right thing and the. It's fine.
I'm sorry, there were RP reasons for it.
It was
I
strong.
agree.
Character thing.
I agree with what you guys did. Plus, you did it while I was dead, so like.
I
the fact
feel
that I had-
like you don't, though.
I mean, a part of me will always wonder what could have been.
Save
Well,
it
we
for
could
the
have
CRP.
just immediately ended the game and gone on to the next thing.
Okay,
Oh,
so
you win. But yeah, it's pretty clear somebody had they'd used this as a base. There is in the back of this room an overturned wagon that has had the general trappings on it to make it appear as like a really shitty throne. Presumably for the Troll King who once lived here.
I thought he was a.
Man, you gotta
So maybe you should like disconnect and reconnect. You're cutting out really bad.
Yeah, we're losing like the
ending
last
your push
syllable
to
of
talk
everything.
sooner.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better
Thought
run.
he was a real king.
Nah, just a military dictator. Rage quit. Anyway, around it.
Okay, so is there
Is
anything?
he coming back?
Is there anything of note around the makeshift throne?
Not really, no. Mostly
No royal scepter.
no royal scepter.
Okay.
Actually, no. You know what? There, you go looking around. There is a I pressed the wrong button. A pretty sizable chest.
Key.
The key, the key fits it.
Oh,
Finally, I can get this thing out of my inventory.
I got my message to Tibor ready to go. What is in this chest?
Oh yeah, he pushed us over and over again. Let's go get the freaking loot, guys, and we're like, we will
and we should have.
in a bit.
And you
Yeah.
should
It was
have.
just tough because there was a lich bombing us all the time.
That is true.
I don't know how that started.
I mean, we could have done it during our 6 months of prosperity, but
I'm trying to decide what I want to be in here because there's what was in the chest is not in the chest because it's not hard for the Tiger Lord to have just taken all of that gold with them because really inside it is just a shitload of gold.
Damn it.
But that is they would have. It is no longer a small statue of a dragon carved from exotic wood worth 200 gold, a gold necklace with a jade pendant worth 500 gold, several pieces of minor jewelry worth a total of 750 gold, 5 medium quality gemstones worth 100 gold each, 3 bottles of fine wine worth 15 gold each, and an engraved silver tankard worth 50, and then just a shitload of copper and silver on top of that. Rather, okay, I can get more sweet improv muscles on this one. I had to start this one on my back foot. We can continue tap dancing in the back square for the rest of the session. You pop open the chest. Inside there is a single... It's about the size of a human hand. A human hand. About the size of a human hand. It high fives you. No, actually, you've seen these before. Hargulka was carrying one. The Stag Lord was carrying one. A little green token.
It's been a while.
It has been.
It's almost like a exact copy of the other two. It's... You pick it up, made of... Oh, what are these made out of? Probably like... Yeah, made of like jade. They are very nice, very exquisite, but kind of just fancy nothing art, if you will. You could probably get a few hundred gold out of it, but more important, it's something that all of you with all the big mental stats across the board now, you're seeing repeated.
Mm-hmm. Did we keep
If I recall, well, we object read the one that we found down in the caves, and that one belonged to the guy who had befriended the owl bear, and he had come into contact with the halfling who was the follower of Garona.
Right.
I want to say what happened to those was they were actually on Kalira's sheet, if I'm not
She was
mistaken.
holding on to them, yeah.
Quick, to Kalira's sheet! Hooray!
So what did Clear do with them, Tommy, before...
They could have still been on her.
They were on her body and you have recovered them, we'll say that.
Okay, sweet.
Because they are plot relevant. Where the fuck? Oh, she's in the Hall of Fame, of course.
The Hall of Fame.
What did we
Oh,
call
he
them?
put him on there because I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm just making that up and implanting memories in all of you, but I'm pretty sure he declared that he was holding on to those.
He had a bunch of stuff. Holy shit. Cold leather outfit, another cracked dusty rose prism ironstone, a folding pole, a wine skin. Where in the hell? I don't see it, but we will assume he has it, and I don't know where the hell he wrote it.
He had
However-
a habit of collecting the plot items.
As somebody who doesn't fill out his character sheet very well, going through this character sheet, it is very well put together and nice and easy to read. Easier to read than my own character sheets when I am playing this game.
That
Well
actually
done.
really doesn't surprise me. Tibor was a very organized player.
He had a meticulous side.
He does too. Holy
Okay.
shit. Soap!
Nope.
Plants a Barbarian got soap. We'll assume it's in here. Also, he had a Quick Runner shirt. I don't ever remember using a Quick Runner shirt. Damn it.
Never got to.
I do remember him talking about it though.
Item's real good.
He bought it and then never got a chance to use it because he was...
Ripperinoed.
He was ripperinoed, indeed. But yeah, y'all, they have made back to your inventory. You have them.
Okay. Sweet. Well,
Yeah, well,
that
we got-
answers that.
It's pretty clear that the chest was Hargulka's, and like this was the only thing he's really tried to hide, or that anyone has really tried to hide in here, was this chest. Whether or not it's hidden in plain sight still was an attempt. On top of that, the Tiger Lords never tried to open it. There's, like, looking at this chest, it's a pretty sturdy chest, but only a wooden chest. Like, if Senia really wanted to open this by force before the power creep hit her, she could do it. To say nothing of 20 dudes with great swords.
But they chose not to.
It would seem to be that way. Like there's no foul play at all. No one has attacked this. No one has tried to force the lock.
Way less curious than we are.
Or
All right.
they had no reason to open it because they had
I imagine there probably would have been consequences for opening it,
or
as long as Hargulko is still alive.
they took up here after his death.
Yeah, and it's very clear from survival checking the droppings that there's a sizable time skip between trolls lived here and Tiger Lords lived here.
That is very puzzling. I mean, I understand having tunnel vision towards like, well, it's the Oculus or nothing. We don't care, but that just seems weird. Huh. Well, maybe if we get maybe we can find the Tiger Lords that were here. We can ask them.
Huh. Imagine that, actually talking to the NPCs before we kill them.
Would I sense motive to try and determine why they would have left that chest alone?
Yeah, sure. This one will need more than a natural 1. Hey, he did it. For once this session, he rolled above a 10. My guy. The dawns on our tours pretty quickly. The only reason they would have left it alone, given that they seem to have looted the rest of the place, taken the rest of the wealth laying around that, like, wasn't hidden in heads, is because they knew what was in there.
Okay. Well, that's even more interesting, really.
So
Implications of that are
there are
concerning.
implications there. But not surprising.
Other than that would mean that
Yep, I know what you're.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
then why would the one down there got killed by someone that seems to also be in league with the Tiger Lords, at least potentially?
He killed a bunch of Tiger Lords,
Oh, that's a good point. So
and then this Fey creature showed up and spooked them to death.
he'd done that before because he was worried about Hargulko finding the stuff in the heads.
Yeah.
So
So I don't know.
were they just completely used, like kind of like 4D chess little plays?
Well, we know that the Gorona, whatever cultists had had brought I think they were the ones who influenced the trolls to attack us.
Yeah,
in
I
the
think we
first
had
place.
done an object reading that showed that too.
Oh,
They were
So,
talking.
so I feel like
Yeah, I'm guessing these are they were just the pawns of a greater plan. I feel like everything is all the pawns of a greater plan. Everything's going to come together soon, but yeah, I feel like the reason the Tiger Lords didn't open the chests because they knew what was in there, and the reason they knew to come here after Hargulka died is because they knew the trolls were defeated and they were going to just take up this position. But otherwise,
that
let
would
them have it.
that would tend to suggest too that the Tiger Lords themselves are also probably pawns, just like the one guy was saying.
Well, we know that the hags or whatever it is that are influencing them probably are the big players that were
Yeah.
influencing the trolls and the cultists, and
Okay.
they also woke up. Were they the ones who also woke up Vorticai, or that was someone else?
That was someone else.
Maybe.
That was
So
the
we think
same
they don't have their
assassins that tried to assassinate y'all in the Keston Garrus Memorial Cemetery.
Okay, so they don't have their fingers in every pie, but they apparently seem to have their fingers in a lot of pies.
Well, no, they were related to those assassins, right?
This is true.
No.
They got all the pies.
They're in all the pies.
I'm now so happy that I wrote this down in an RP. I'm going to scroll up till I find it so I can make sure I inform you all accurately what in the heck happened. Oh, there's Calera RP in here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man, this takes me back. Shit. Woo-wee. But y'all can...
I guess
you
we would.
Still free to move about the cabin as I'm trying to find this and make sure all the plot threads tie out the right way.
So we'd be in R9 now.
I will say, just as a moment of I don't know, contemplation. There's sort of a reflection on seeing the seeing the throne and kind of imagining the guy that we fought out in the field in here, and I don't know. There's a weird sort of I don't know the emotion for it. It's like in the vein of nostalgia, but not nostalgia.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I don't know what that word is either, but I'm with you. You're not nostalgic for it, but it was a memory of past times that has resonated within you.
It's weird to, I don't know. It's like seeing somebody out of their home and then being in their home and then being like, but they're dead now. I don't know. It's just a strange...
Wow. It's like when you see your teacher and you're 6 years old and you're like, why are you at school, teacher? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. It's just I don't know how to explain it, but there's something strange about being in the throne room like this.
Tara, do you have a word for this? You usually have these words.
She's like, I don't know what the hell is going on.
Anyway, I can't find this RP to save my life. I know it's here. They are... Oh, there's Chester. I see Chester dancing around.
Uh-huh.
Oh, buddy.
Rip.
There's
It's
that
okay.
feeling of nostalgia.
Did we bury Chester in the Keston
No.
Memorial Cemetery?
No, he got trampled into splinters.
Yeah, he got killed by mastodons that then went crazy and killed each other.
So what happened to Chester the First?
That is a question I do not remember.
We lost him somehow, and then we lost Chester the Second. From the
I'm pretty sure Chester the First never actually made it to us and was just destroyed on the road.
Right, because the Tiger Lords attacked. Yeah.
He was a victim of the Tiger Lords. Another death.
We never even met Chester the First.
Senseless death.
The senseless death of my property. All right, R9, the final room. What's in here? What's in here? There's some stuff, but what is it? I'm doing a scroll. Oh, shit, I clicked the thing. My computer's mad at me. I'm gonna stop singing now. I'm annoying myself. I imagine everyone else is just shut up, Tommy.
I was enjoying it.
Good. The air in this cavern seems somewhat cooler than the rest of the complex, but the stench of decaying flesh and poopy hangs heavy in the air. Along the walls are stacked the carcasses of dozens of beasts, from foxes and wolves to deer and elk, at this point all very rotted and gross, as well as a couple of horses and what appears to be a skinned bear. The southern portion of the room holds a grislier collection of corpses, the bodies of several humanoids, from gnomes and halflings to humans and elves. Most of the cadavers seem to have been decapitated. And again, in various stages of advanced decay.
Does it look like they were?
Had I been... Looks more like this was the troll's larder.
Delightful.
I got
Like
chills
to-
just thinking of that.
Like to not stay in here too long. It smells pretty awful, I imagine.
Yeah, no, it's rotting meat. Hard. Rotting meat of all
Obligatory.
persuasions.
Detect magic to make sure we're not missing anything important by not going in there.
I will take like a quick stroll to the end of the room, and then turn around and back as well.
Who is this new Cato who's not afraid of disgusting things?
Well, it's fiendish Cato, who is the disgusting thing.
Hey now.
Detect magic.
In the eye of the beholder.
Indeed. The detect magic doesn't ping anything. Maybe like the vaguest taste of necromancy. Because like a lot of foul happened here. And if there was to be a haunt, / if I had a little more time, or if like we weren't right at the end of session, I might be like, oh shit, all these dudes animate. Oh, but no. Other than that, not really much. Just rotting meat.
A vague hint of necromancy from another timeline. But outside of that, we're okay.
Yeah, exactly. God damn it.
So in the interest of our last 5 minutes, how does the upstairs look? Because I'm gonna hustle to the staircase.
Cato
over
takes off in a sprint back in the other direction.
That's just stairs leading up to a tower that overlooks. That's one of the other places. Had you gone a little higher up, you could have ported in.
Oh, okay. And do we notice anything in the tower?
I will check. What I will say is I probably should have established this earlier, but in area R2 you do notice the doors, they are like busted in the corner. somebody just stone-shaped the stone of the wall over.
Oh.
That said, R3 probably at the very least gives you a very nice view of the surrounding countryside. Wide flight of stone stairs leads up to a circular chamber with a high ceiling. A foul stench fills the air, emanating from the layers of it, as we all knew. Yeah, no, basically just moving up here, you can... give me a quick perception check.
Are we as a party doing perceptions? I
You
imagine
certainly
we all
do.
went up together.
Then I'll let one of you guys do it because y'all have much better. Yeah.
My rolls today, jeez.
It has not been...
Yeah, I rolled poorly on that one too.
So it's really just Senia, I guess, who sees this. Senia no longer has the enormous bonus to perception that
Yeah,
she should not
I
have had, right?
removed
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we removed that.
So, Arcturus, why? It's like you've rolled like 6 times in 3 hours, and half of them have been natural ones. Christ. Looking around, it's probably just Senia that sees it as we begin to seal up the session. The faintest bit of movement off maybe like 100, 150 feet or so away, because you basically just have a big stretch over the countryside, as presumably when the dwarves established this citadel in the first place, well, not citadel, this watchtower in the first place, they would have cleared out all the woodland just so there would have been this big long range of I'm going to shoot you as you are running at me kind of thing. You think you see movement out in the grass. It's hard to say what, but it's unmistakable. And then you double take and it's no longer there.
Probably just a rabbit.
Probably just a rabbit.
Quick question. Is this tower, are we able to leave the stronghold via the tower? Like, is it that there a cutout, like window that could just be jumped / flown down to back to the ground?
Actually, there is, I'm not even making this up, as I go back and look, the perception checks all reveal a hidden door in the ceiling.
Ooh.
As you open it, it leads up into the roof of the tower and outside.
Okay. Great place to kick off next session.
And a great place to seal this one up. I don't know if I want to name this one the session that time forgot, or Cato breaks the
like
DM.
I like both of those.
Parentheticals, that's what we'll do. But we'll be back at it next week for more Cato breaks. Actually, I want it to be someone else. I let Arcturus break me between here and next section. Have a good in-character reflection for something you want to happen that I'm not aware of at all, that causes us to spiral evermore. But we'll see you then. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Say bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.